All right, we're live now for Gamers Talking 2017 year in review, and I'm so pleased that this stream is here because I've been writing the damn notes for this thing throughout the year, and every time I thought I've been done, something else has come along and changed. So, first of all, introduce the guests. First of all, we have the one half of the Hypernaut streamers. The one is usually running late, and today she lives up to her name. It's Nicole.
Hi.
And next is the owner of some of the world's cutest hedgehogs. It's Molly.
One of the world's cutest hedgehogs. Yes,
beg your
hello. I
pardon.
am token girl number 2.
And next is a man loved by Skype and Discord, but clearly not so much with Google Hangouts, as we found out earlier this year. It's Scott.
Shit. God damn. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
And earlier this year, when I started PC gaming, this next guy gifted me a load of games to play with, including The Witcher 2 and 3 and Honeypot. He's also going to be joining me as a co-host for a podcast in the new year, where we talk about various geeky stuff and have on special guests. A format which I'm sure he was ripped off from nobody in particular. It's Wombat.
Good morning.
And finally, we have one of the organisers of Shemfest, a man I've met a couple of times in person now, and is an absolute bastard with a blank card on Cards Against Humanity. It's Mega Mike.
Hi. That's rude, but also true.
All right, first of all, guys, thanks very much for joining me for this. I'm so glad this stream's here for reasons I've already stated. I thought we'd have a good laugh by starting off with the culture critics and what they've been up to over the last year. First of all, old Josh McIntosh announced on Twitter he was having to move from his home because his pop culture detective agency hasn't become self-sustaining.
Wait, hold on.
His videos are priceless.
Yeah.
Wait,
Now,
he had to move from his home? You mean he had to move from his parents' private island?
He's working back to his parents' private island.
Oh, okay.
Apparently,
okay. All right.
apparently his Patreon, which now sits at just over $2,000 a month, isn't enough to sustain him.
Oh God! Let's all shed a tear for Jonathan McIntosh and his fucking trust fund. Fuck that dickhead.
Scott, why don't you tell us what you think about
I
McIntosh?
know. I have such a hard time articulating. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but his goal that he apparently would make it self-sustaining is $4,000 a month, because apparently he said he doesn't have a job, and this sort of topic that he does requires his full-time efforts. Bless him.
Job. Now do it as a hobby, like everybody else.
Having actually stayed in San Francisco and seen the cost of accommodations, I can believe the $2,000 a month isn't enough to get me a cardboard box.
Yeah, that's true. You might get like a shipping container.
Well, why does it have to be in San Francisco? Surely he could live anywhere to do something on the internet. Or is that
Exactly. Yeah, why'd you
No,
San
that
Francisco?
makes too much sense.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why he's moving back to his parents' private island to live in their basement.
Yeah, but as Molly has pointed out,
Honestly, his parents'
Molly-
basement is probably better than what $4,000 a month can get him in San Francisco.
fucking insane,
The
right?
thing is, though, with $4,000 a month, I could pay all my bills and probably spend the rest on hookers and blow.
I mean,
You're not wrong.
as Molly has pointed out, his videos are gold, some of them, because he literally comes off as the robot trying to learn emotions. It does. It's literally what he comes off as.
To be human.
And when he looks at the camera, and obviously his auto cue, it's just the most blank, emotionless look I've ever seen any man.
Did you see those behind-the-scenes ones, though, that he
Where
did
he's laughing?
last year? Yeah, where he
Yeah.
looked like a real person.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so strange to look at. It's like, my God, the guy has emotions. He can actually feel things. It's so strange to watch. But at the same time, as Molly said, they're golden. She gets such a laugh out of them. It
Dude,
brings back. Go on, sorry.
I happen to think the him moving home thing is just a cover. He's actually going to go and work as the emotional coach for Mark Zuckerberg for his presidential campaign in 2024.
Oh God.
And of course, we can't forget about Anita. She almost faded away this year.
Speak for yourself. I had forgotten about her until you brought it
Yeah,
up.
I had forgotten about it, but then of course we had the VidCon event where
Oh, gosh.
right.
I have so many opinions.
where obviously she just
I'm looking
Go
forward
on.
to her being completely irrelevant, which came so close to happening this year. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe 2018. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
Wow.
one can hope. Of course, she found a reason to be relevant again after she took a pop at Sargon as he sat in the front
Yeah.
row of the.
They really gave her a reason to be relevant, though. That's what bothers me about it, is that they chose to give her that bait and then got
Hmm.
mad when she fell for it. And it was like,
Yeah.
no, you're all just feeding off of each other's attention complexes.
And then, of course, the Total Biscuit interview with Kotaku UK was published, unfortunately timed with the 3rd anniversary of the Zoe post.
that was
and cool.
gold.
Yeah, her reaction, Nita's reaction was so fierce that Richard Stanton, apparently a 6-foot Scot who was not afraid of Gamergators, had to issue a grovelling apology.
Hold on. No, I think he phrases it. I'm a 6'5" Glaswegian, and I'll
That's
take
it,
all
yeah,
you
yeah.
fuckers on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Something along those lines. He loves saying, "I'm a Glaswegian," like that fucking means anything. Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, he's a Glaswegian! Look out, everybody! Oh,
The thing is, the man looks like
so you're
150 pounds wet through.
yeah. I was going to say, it's like, oh my god, there's a 6'5" wet noodle running at me! Look out!
Yeah.
Get the fuck out!
He's like windmilling his arms.
So he's
Yeah.
just announcing to the world he's a functional alcoholic who's barely literate. So
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's a Glaswegian. That's what I said.
yeah. Of course, during that apology, he threw the interviewer, Laura Kate Dale, under the bus, which was, I think, yeah.
Oh, and then
still
she threw Total Biscuit under the bus.
Yeah,
That
she
That was a
did.
mess. I
It
felt
was
bad
a-
for T.
and then Biscuit basically got up and threw her back under the bus.
Yeah. I mean, she deserved it, man.
Which was interesting because I thought Biscuit had quit being on social media until recently.
He
Silly.
tries to quit a lot. He's got a pretty bad addiction.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that he had said he was quitting. I missed that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
he
pretty
put it-
hard.
He's said it a few times.
Yeah,
Oh.
but,
Well, then.
he's done that multiple times now, though.
Yeah,
And of course-
it's essentially his wife takes his phone off him for a while.
Pretty much,
This is
yeah.
his password.
Yeah.
And of course, finally,
Yeah,
we can't
Janet, yes.
not. Yeah, we can't not forget Miss Quinn,
Ugh.
and her book that was released this year.
Has anyone
it?
read it?
I have
You
not
Yes,
read
I
it.
actually did read it.
You mean the pamphlet she put out, the 90
it's
pages?
horrible. I can send you guys the
It's-
copy I got on the
Oh,
lowdown.
please.
No, it's
don't.
it's terrible. It's
No, I
exactly
don't-
how you'd think a book would read if someone like Quinn wrote it and had someone like her friends, quote unquote, edit it. It was just bad.
It's
It was like
so-
these really forced memes, terrible jokes, like
Yeah.
woe is me. Oh god, it was just so horribly
So
written.
wait. So you're telling me she was ghostwriting for Hillary Clinton?
Oh,
Ooh, steady on.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. But,
Nikki,
yeah,
did you
apparently-
have to pay for it?
oh no, I had it forwarded to me. It was being passed around a lot.
Yeah, it was a
Oh,
rough
I'm
willing
draft
to
or
pass it
something,
on.
wasn't it?
Yeah, one of her friends leaked the PDF because they were pissed off about not getting paid.
Mm.
Yeah,
Really?
Ooh.
yeah,
There
she
was
didn't
a-
even pay her for it.
Yeah,
Oh,
apparently the
wow.
book was edited by her friends and
Yeah.
did a very bad job of which.
Well, yeah, of
Um,
course.
The book sales have been apparently quite low.
Oh.
The ballpark figure I was
Book
given
sales were
was
a-
around the 5,000 mark.
Worldwide.
Oh,
Yet to confirm
wow.
that. And there were even a number of mixed reviews, one allegedly by her mother, a 2-star review, which was later rewritten and changed to a 4-star review.
Oh yeah, I remember reading that.
Yeah.
I
and
mean,
that
do
was-
we know for a fact that that was her mother or
No,
Yes.
somebody just
Yes.
posing as her mother?
No. Mombot did a lot of good old investigation stuff that only Mombot can do, and it's
Yeah.
we're more or less confirmed that it was her mother that wrote it. And what we reckon happened is her mum wrote it, and then we reckon Zoe's got into her mum's account and done the rewrite.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah,
And of course, she also found time to go after the developer of The Last Night after he had shown his support for Gigi and forced an apology out of him.
Oh,
And then,
dear,
and then along with Nathan Grayson, they went after Tech Raptor after they were shown to be one of Steam's curators on the title page. And obviously, after the complaining, Tech Raptor's logo was replaced with IGN's, even though the site had done nothing wrong.
Now, the interesting part there is that was a rotation anyway.
Mm.
So Tech Raptor were always going to be rotated out for someone
Yeah.
else.
But then, of course,
Yeah.
Tech Raptor, they went and did something very strange afterwards, which they turned and labelled a lot of their previous work, stuff which covered GG quite fairly, as below its standard of editing, which was something so bizarre to watch.
Wait, hold on. No, it's not bizarre because
Okay.
when push comes to shove, and I don't want to equivocate here or anything. I want to be real clear about this.
Mm-hmm.
When push comes to shove and there's money involved, people are going to do what they can, do what they have to cover their asses so they don't get burned. Plain and simple. And it's for all the talk of, having a righteous mission and being ethical and this, that, and the other. Here we go. They got to cover their asses and make sure they don't get burned by the smell or the taint of Gamergate.
Yeah,
don't want to be associated with those people.
But for them, doing that is a no-win situation because all the people who used to follow them, and myself included,
they
I'm
burned
like,
bridge.
well, I'm out. Yeah, guys, you've just abandoned the audience who backed you, and you're not going to pick up any new ones because the crowd who are sort of crucifying you over being Gamergate supporters are never ever going to support you. It's never ever going to be good enough. We've seen this over and over and over again. So, oh well,
Yeah, I wonder what their drop off in readership was after that. I have to imagine it's pretty.
I don't know what the drop off in readership was, but I was told that their Patreon took a dip.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yes.
I don't doubt it at all.
And
I always act up when Patreon goes on.
Yeah. I had a fucking sit down with Rutledge a long ass time ago and put it up on YouTube, but it's not up there anymore because I deleted all that shit. Fucking YouTube anyway. But and he was let me start it on that fucking topic. But I mean, Rutledge seemed like a stand-up guy, dude. He seems like a good dude, and when that happened, I was kind of surprised, honestly.
I was surprised too. I was one of their Kickstarter backers for the for their like redesign thing that they did.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit surprised that they did that, but I kind of understand why they did it. Like, I disagree with their like choice, and I think that that's going to be a reputation that follows them forever, no matter what. And the best thing you can do is just to, like, keep doing good work and that kind of thing. There's no need to go back and like try to erase the past. But I also understand why they wanted to do it, so I couldn't, hate on them too much for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we need to elaborate. One of the authors that they primarily cleansed was was Scrump Monkey, and
was it? I thought it was some. Well, I definitely can't blame them for that.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Scrump.
I like him sometimes.
Yeah,
when he's not being a drunken cocksucker, he's fine.
But
he's a really good writer when he wants to be.
When he's not drunk. When he's sober, he's all right. He's a decent dude.
Right. The answer is, when does he want to be, and when does he, want to be a shithead?
Yeah.
But I do get that. I didn't know that Scrump was one of the main authors removed. I thought it was someone else.
No, it was a lot of it was Scrump, because Scrump basically just, we were saying he does good work when he's not drunk, but Scrump's he's trained as an engineer, so he's never not drunk. Scrump. Basically, there was some situation where Scrump took the spicy memes a little too far, and then also, they used that as an in to get at Tech Raptor. Basically, you support Scrump being, being Scrump and taking shit too far.
Right, that happens.
And so that was so. To be honest, I think they potentially in the back end got bullied by the usual crowd and panicked, and they were just put in a really difficult no-win situation. And the thing is, I'm not going to, we can't. It's going to be easy to blame Scrump, and Scrump's Scrump. But you either love him or hate him. But the work he did on the site was stand-up, well-referenced, good writing. Right. So I'm one of those ones who firmly believes in death of the author. His work's his work, and it's separate from his personality. If he wants to be a shit on Twitter, then go for it. He keeps getting suspended, and we keep laughing about it.
If he wants to. But, he wants to. He definitely, there's no if.
He definitely wants to.
Yeah. So, but it's Tech Raptors, basically, they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. So they would have been better off just saying, yeah, the work's there. We stood by it at the time. Whereas now, because they've gone through and trying to atone for their previous sins, as it were, there's no winning. So
they've kind of unlocked their own locker to be stuffed in, really.
Yeah.
And of course, next was Randy Harper, who was amazingly quiet this year. The only thing of any significance, the only thing she did of any significance, which I'm aware of, is the fact she had to crowdfund for a new desk.
Aware of that.
Why did she sit on her old one and break it?
Oh,
she sold
God.
an F.
It got shady in here all of a sudden. That's weird.
Yeah, and that was a very peculiar one to watch. But then, of course, you can't forget Brianna Wu announcing she was going to run for politics.
Yes.
The video she released. For anyone listening who hasn't seen it, you've got to find it and check it out. It's
Is this the
so,
Godzilla video?
Couldn't we
It
play
is
it,
the-
like in here? Can't we
No.
like? No.
No.
Not yet. We
I
don't
feel
quite have
like-
the technology yet.
Well,
No.
I feel like
Yeah,
the main person can stream it.
Yeah,
But-
Justin
Yeah.
can, but I don't know if he can. Like,
I don't know. I'm not technically minded in that
Yeah.
sense.
I don't.
Okay.
We,
For those
we
who
haven't gone
don't-
through the whole sharing screens thing with him before, so that's probably about
All
it
right.
at this point.
But essentially, it was the Godzilla one where she's dressed up as Trumpzilla, smashing a city up, and then her husband comes up in a dinosaur onesie.
And she pegs him.
Yeah,
I mean,
Oh,
I'm sorry. Wrong video.
and oh, jeez, don't please.
Scott, what are you watching in your spare time?
Yeah, yeah, Scott, I've
I'm
got
watching
questions
the
for you,
world
mate.
burn. That's
Yeah.
what I'm watching.
Interesting to note, Wu's Patreon was one of the only ones that took a massive nosedive after it started. It now sits at around $960 a month, which is a far cry from the 13 grand that she was once getting on there.
Holy.
Wow, I
Oh,
didn't realize it was
right.
that bad.
When it started
Yeah,
out,
but-
it was, but because of the shit she spews on Twitter and some of the silly shit she's done in real life, it just gradually went down.
Yeah, I have a
thought
hard
the
time
13
feeling
grand was a
sympathetic
one-off, though.
I think it was a one-off, but I don't remember for sure. But I remember seeing it, thinking, "Wow, that she's able to pull that in quite well."
Yeah, but again, don't forget that Buddy husband makes what $250,000 a year working for one of the Californian universities. So I kind of hard to feel
Doing what?
sympathetic
As a
about
rent boy?
Wait, California University. How?
Oh
that.
dear,
Yeah.
Don't they live in Boston?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, but I know her hubby makes like $200 and something thousand working for one of the universities. I know that. So, because he's dodgy as hell as well.
All right. So one of the darker topics that happened this year, which we'll deal with now, was the whole situation with Alex Mauer. Yeah.
Just still
Anyone-
going on.
Oh, there's actually been a I watched something this morning about that. There's been a resolution to it. I think she settled. Oh Christ, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll try and find it.
She's settled, but
Yeah.
okay. We should give people a background to begin with, and then
Yeah, go on
get
then.
into
Yeah.
the latest happened.
Hmm.
So, Alex Mauer, I'm sort of only been peripherally aware of this, but she's basically been abusing YouTube's DMCA system and just DMCAing everyone. Total biscuit. She was just carpet bombing everyone with DMCA's. In the process, basically got sectioned for mental health, put in for a 24-hour hold because she's clearly not well. And this has just been an ongoing thing this year. Basically, her family's been trying to get her basically permanently sectioned and help, which they can't do, unfortunately, under the US system. So every time that she come out, she's just goes back to carpet bombing people with DMCA's for anyone she doesn't like. The original one was she was go on, and you were saying about the settlement. Even though they've come to a settlement, already writing nasty letters to the judge that came up with the settlement, and just they're going to go to jail for contempt. They're clearly not well. One of the other things, with her fighting with a studio over the work they did, and that bit I was sort of a bit fuzzy on. I sort of was only watching that one out of the corner of my eye.
Well, it was made worse by some, I think, epically disgusting reporting from Jonathan Holmes of Destructoid of all places, which he
imagine
basically
like-
tried. Yeah,
You mean
which he tried-
former Road Rules contestant Jonathan Holmes?
that's the chap who basically wrote the article in which he made it out that Mao was the innocent party in the whole thing and was being victimized by a lot of YouTubers, nasty YouTubers, I think he said. And of course, again, but Biscuit came in and ripped him to pieces over it. And I think the article was even moved to the blog section of the site in an attempt to hide it. But of course,
That always goes
Destructoid.
well.
Yeah, Destructoid. Need I say more?
Yeah.
Are they even a thing?
As
Did
a
I?
former alum, you need not say any more.
Yeah.
A former alum?
Yeah, I used to work
He's
there.
disavowed them.
Yeah, I dipped the fuck out.
He
Yeah, I
was an
quit
alum, and then he decided to completely distance himself.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I knew that you. I never mind. I was making a joke, but yeah, I know that you used to work there. You were talking
Yeah.
about it when we were at GG and RVA a couple years ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And of course, one of the more amusing bits of news, a smaller bit, but I included it because it was funny, was the Good Game show of ABC in Australia shutting down. This was a show that had covered a lot of the gaming news and, of course, Gamergate as well, but had continuously put it in an unfavourable light and had been apparently burying news and interviews that were either favourable or neutral to the whole thing. Oops.
Yeah. Good Game
it's
has
okay.
a long history in with this stuff. Basically, for those who are not Australian, ABC is a TV network here in Australia that's government funded and is very infamously kind of left leaning. Now, Good Game, there was a controversy years ago with Good Game where they replaced one of the male hosts with a female host and then denied it was diversity reasons. And the male host that got sacked came out and went, no, you totally fired me because I was a man. So it went on from there. And yeah, I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did, to be honest. Really, they sort of, I don't know anyone in Australia who ever watched it, referenced it. It was just kind of there.
It's a strange one, that.
They turn up at PAX every year and, it was always the same virtue signaling and everything else. So, that one's just kind of bye,
Well, you know what it always seemed like to me? It always seemed like they had that was one of those shows that was created by people in a powerful position that had the money to keep it going so that they could have a voice and a say in that arena. It's like, we obviously know about gaming. We have this show about it. Therefore, we can use it to create, stories and this, that, and the other. And it was basically a foot in the door. And it wasn't a matter of if people were watching it so much as a matter of they were putting it out there because they could. And because they used it was a wedge basically that they could stick in there, like, oh well, we have some people that we can put in here that that are going to say the thing that we want them to say on the newscast if somebody needs to talk about gaming. So that's what it kind of seemed like to me anyway. I could be completely wrong, and people might have loved it, but that's not the impression.
No, it was probably loved by like 12-year-old kids who didn't know any better.
Right? Yeah, there you go.
And that's pretty much that was pretty much the target audience they had. It was never really aimed at adults. It always came off as being aimed at young kids, so they had no real understanding of the gaming market, given the gaming market average age is 30-something. So yeah, it just kind of bumped along, and then when the ABC got a whole heap of funding cuts, that was one of the ones that got axed. So
how terrible.
Crying shame, as they say.
Nothing of value was lost.
So this next one, I think, is primarily for PC users, unless I'm mistaken. But Bethesda obviously announced their Creation Club for the paid mods program for Fallout 4 in particular, and they even put an advert on the main menu for it. Fans were obviously not happy about it, and someone decided to do something about it. And a mod was made available called the No More Creation Club News for free to basically disable all adverts for it on the game. And apparently it's been downloaded well over 15,000 times at this moment, which I thought was fucking hilarious when I read it. I really did. Because last I heard, a lot of mods are free, if I'm not mistaken. I've never used them myself, but is that how it's supposed to be?
That's generally the way of things,
Yeah, they're free. They're developed. See, this is the thing, and this has got a bigger issue. It's not just Bethesda doing this. It's Valve, it's Microsoft. They're all basically trying to insert themselves as middlemen to make money on mods.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, the problem being, and I really kind of wish Bathsheba was here for this one because he's the business person. The issue being that as soon as you start paying for mods, there is a certain level of expectation under law of support, of maintaining it, and this has always been the pushback from the mod community, because most of these guys do it as a hobby. They're learning coding or learning game scripting or whatever else, and this is a way for them to actually develop their skills. But as soon as you start making people paying for mods, and of course the publishers take their cut, if the hobbyists supporting the mod don't want to actually support it, they can't just walk away from it. So there's a whole heap of issues that go with it. But I don't think we're going to see the end of this. I think we're going to see more of this, in 2018. They're really just trying to find a way to make money on mods.
Well,
So,
and there's a part of it too, though, is that this is, I think part of this has to do with protecting their IP, because if they give control over, because I mean, you know how IP laws, right? How you like it's like, and companies say it's like, oh, we don't want to sue people, but we have to protect
Right.
IP. It's like, there's that weird gray area there with fan art and and protecting their IP. So I think this is maybe one, like I think you're right there. The main motivator I think is pretty clearly they want to make money off of this stuff. I mean, and to a certain extent, it is their IP and they kind of have the right to do that because it is theirs. They could just say, fuck all y'all, stop doing it. We're going to DMCA you, or we're going to, cease and desist you, or whatever it is. But at least in this way, maybe people are getting, some monetary compensation for what they're doing. So this is such a weird conversation because it's not an easy conversation to have because there's a lot of different facets. Because in one respect, I think people should probably get paid, but it should be a voluntary thing. It shouldn't be a demanded, like upfront kind of thing. Like, if people, and a lot of modders actually do have that. They're like, hey, if you want to support me, kick some money to me on PayPal or on Patreon or whatever it is, and that's a wonderful system. And that kind of maintains the spirit of this thing where these people are putting this stuff out there, like you said, because they're learning code, they're learning how to make games, and it's not necessarily going to be a finished product, and it's not necessarily going to be without problems. So, you kind of, it's like buyer beware, you get what you pay for. But on the other hand, though, you kind of have to look at it from a business perspective where you have to protect your IP and this and that and the other and all this sort of thing. So it's a very complicated conversation to have. There's a lot of different nuances involved.
Yeah, this would be a podcast or something all on its own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Justin, so I'm thinking we write that one down for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to get a couple of modders in just to hear their side of the whole thing.
Oh, for sure. That would be great.
Yeah. All right, so the next one.
Also, someone who was previously asked onto the. Oh, never mind. Continue.
The next one we had was a more interesting saga, I suppose, and that was the whole thing with Brash Games. The writers who had worked at the site and had left had their bylines removed and work scrubbed from their accomplishments and were instead credited to the editor, Paul Ryan. Review scores were even altered to fit in with Metacritic's averages against the writer's wishes in some cases. And then when this was discovered, scores removed by OpenCritic, and Ryan denied all wrongdoing and actually put the site up for sale at one point. A lot of the writers who were involved came out against him. It made one glorious shit show.
Yes, the glorious gaming press.
Yeah, you have to love when stuff like this happens. It's so peculiar to watch. But Ryan, actually, instead of admitting he'd done wrong, just did his best to throw people under the bus instead.
This is Games Journalist are Terrible, exhibit 12,385.
Yeah.
It's not new.
Here's the thing I don't get about this is that how does he think in such a public arena that people aren't going to notice this? Like you have got a gaming website that has, we'll just say for the sake of argument, thousands of followers. And then you have thousands of people in the periphery that probably, glance by it every now and again. They see a subject of interest. How does he think that people are just not going to notice these things that are changing? And how does he think that the people that wrote these things aren't going to say something about it? It's like, oh no, he changed. It's fine. Everything's cool. We can't say nothing. It's like, get the fuck out, man. Are you really that dumb? I mean, there's this thing called savvy. You obviously have none. You should look in and. I just find it ridiculous that people think they can kind of get away with this shit and not get called out for it. I mean, come on, dude. Have some ethics. Have some fucking backbone.
Yeah. All right. So onto a topic now, which ties in one of the predictions that was made at the end of last year's stream, and that was hang on, Steam's attempt to clean itself up. All right, go on, guys. Have at it, because I'd love to hear this one.
Well, the trading cards are still there. Steam's tried to clean it. So the prediction for anyone who listened to last year's stream, the prediction was that Scott was saying that the Steam was going to clean up the scam that's going on with Steam trading cards, which hasn't happened. And so
there's a bit of a debate about that.
Yeah, well, but the other thing is Steam's tried to clean up it's been cracking down on what was the other one? They're not allowed to post if games have to be censored to be on Steam. You can't post. The developer themselves can't post links to say, "Oh, by the way, here's the uncensoring patch." Like for games like. Which Justin still hasn't locked up any time. Come on, dude. I'm
shut up.
I got you the game.
I still remember when I got that email from you, and I looked at it and thought, "What the fuck am I supposed to do with this?"
Look, dude, you could spend more time on Honeypop and spend less time plugging my wife.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Could he spend less time doing that?
But yeah, they also hosted a visit from TB and his wife and Jim Sterling, everyone's favourite, to hear their grievances on the whole topic. Well, we'll get to that. To hear their grievances on the whole topic, who both made videos about it afterwards for YouTube. Scott, I guess you've got some opinions on this.
Well, I mean, okay, to address what Wombat said, they haven't stopped using the cards, obviously, but they've cracked down on the way that these shovelware producers can just spew all the shit into the fucking ecosystem. So they've kind of tried to stop it at the root, but I mean they haven't obviously dismantled the card system completely at all. It's still there, but they've taken steps to mitigate some of the damage that happens because of these shovelware producers and all the shit that they're putting out there. So they are addressing it. They haven't solved it per se. They haven't fixed the problem completely, but they have addressed some of the issues that are leading up to this being a problem. So, I'll give them props for that. I mean, they're at least trying to make change. They're not just being like, "Oh, whatever, fuck it, me." So they're actually trying to do something.
Because they did finish Greenlight, as I remember, and started Steam Direct, which apparently charges $100 fee for companies to publish a game.
Yeah.
Apparently the difference is good.
When Greenlight came out, I remember saying that to begin with. I'm like, no, you've got to have some sort of skin in the game. Otherwise, Greenlight is just going to become a complete, landfill of just. It ended up being exactly what we predicted. Just a complete landfill of games that are there to scam money out of people and then never actually end up making it. So putting some sort of financial incentive on there, if you want to list, means it's. I think $100 is a bit low, to be honest, but it's a start.
Yeah.
All right, and so to talk about a couple of the hardware releases this year before we jump into gaming, first of all, we've got to talk about the Switch. Which is one of the most.
I mean, you motherfuckers have seen.
I might have an opinion on that one.
It's probably one of the most. It's one of the most unique consoles I think I've ever seen, and obviously, Molly, as you piped up there, you can go first.
Oh gosh, I remember back in I guess it was February when a bunch of us got together and watched the Nintendo Direct stream that talked about all of the launch titles. And honestly, and I know I'm stealing some phrases from Eric Kane here because he used these first, but it honestly is like one of the most unexpectedly sexy consoles ever. I honestly, I absolutely, I love it. I love that I can take it pretty much wherever I want and just pick up right where I left off. And I know I sound like an advertisement, but
just like Yoshi's an ad.
That was one of the concerns when it came out, and a lot of people think is the battery life wasn't fantastic. How's that working for you?
What was that?
How's the battery life on it?
Oh, I mean,
Depends on the game you're playing.
It's not fantastic, but it's not terrible. Let's just say that if I'm taking it on a 2-hour plane ride, depending on what game I'm playing, I might get lucky if it lasts the whole time, but
all right.
That's about it.
You've got to see. I think the reason you like it so much, Molly, is because it's sized perfectly for you. Because, me, my hands are fucking huge, and trying to play those little tiny Joy-Cons, it's like, oh fuck me. Is this some kind of cruel joke? I mean, thankfully I have the Pro controller, which was gifted to me by a bunch of fucking very lovely people, and I cannot thank them enough for it.
I love the Pro controller. My jaw dropped a little bit, even though I should have expected this when I saw how much it cost. But I just went through with it anyway. I mean, with Nintendo, it's going to be a situation where I'll complain about it, but in the end, I'm absolutely still going to buy it, and I love it. The Pro Controller is awesome.
For those who don't know, how much is the Pro Controller?
It was 60.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how much it is to buy another Joy-Con. Like those are like I want to say 70 for one, and then if you want to get two, they're like 100.
Are you sure? That sounds a bit much. That sounds a bit.
No, it's insane. Really, and like I thought it would be like kind of similar to how much the Wiimotes cost, which were like 30 or 40, I want to say, which seems more reasonable.
But there's infinitely more things in the Joy-Cons than the Wiimotes.
Yeah,
the Wiimotes
more things? You don't
more
say.
things.
More things. Ooh, more things.
Look, guys, you've stopped me playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I will hurt people.
But from a parent's point of view, because I have one as well, they are an absolute godsend, because if the wife is watching the crap on TV that she usually watches, the kids can say, "Mum, can I play on the Switch?" And then she goes, "Yeah, okay." And they can just lift the Switch off its dock and sit on the opposite sofa and play it.
Oh yeah,
it's brilliant.
It's pretty handy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's the one, main stage, if you want to call it that, main stage console that you can actually take with you wherever you want, which is, I mean, for me, that's fantastic.
I take it on the train, and it's such a godsend.
Yeah, and of course, as Molly also said, it's got a very strong launch title release, especially having the Redux Mario Kart 8 on there, which I think was a very clever move.
And I think we can all pretty much agree that Breath of the Wild is just fantastic.
Amazing.
That's
my game of the year.
That's coming up. But then also we've got to talk about the Xbox One X, which it's had a mixed reception, because obviously the whole thing with that was the 4K gaming.
Wait, no, hold on, Justin, you messed up. It's the most powerful console ever made.
Yeah,
So
but it does
the
come.
least retarded kid in special school.
But it does come with some serious flaws in that, of course, it's not really worth having unless you have a 4K TV.
Yeah,
and those things aren't cheap. And then, of course, was also pointed out this year the file size for the 4K games.
Given that the ridiculous.
Given that the hard drive is a terabyte, the average 4K game size is about 100 gigabytes, and in one case, which was Quantum Break, it's 150 gigabytes.
Yeah.
So you can get a max of 10 games on your hard drive.
Yeah.
So
you definitely have to have an extra hard drive out on the outside of it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't thought it through in terms of upgrade. They've upgraded some of the hardware, but they haven't sort of, one half of Microsoft's Xbox department is not talking to the other. And yeah, the file sizes for those games you can't get around it. That's just the sizes of the textures mostly.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem though. They have to maintain a certain price point for this thing. So if they're meeting a certain price point at that 1 terabyte hard drive, at some point they might upgrade it to a 2 terabyte. I think that's pretty likely, just because of the way they've been iterating on the consoles and such. And this is the next iteration. But yeah, I don't know if it's like they haven't been communicating as much as like, okay, we have to hit this price point, because at $500 you can build a fucking gaming PC for $500. No problem. You can build a very respectable gaming PC for $500. So this is this is the thing though. The console market is very likely not to go away anytime soon, unless something drastically changes with PCs where they become so cheap that it's just stupid to buy a console. But for most people, they don't want to have to deal with because this is something I dealt with myself, because like I started playing PC games back in 98, 99, I guess it was, when Half-Life came out, and I was playing Half-Life Online Deathmatch and all that. Yeah. But before that, I didn't really own consoles. I got like hand-me-down consoles from people and stuff like that. And then my first console was an original Xbox. And the thing is, it's like most consumers don't want to deal with all the problems that are associated with PCs, because let's just be fucking honest. There are a lot of things that you have to deal with. You have to deal with drivers. You have to deal with hardware incompatibilities in some cases. You're constantly having to update these things. And there are people that they don't want to fucking deal with that kind of stuff. So there's always going to be a console market. Yeah. And then Microsoft has kind of taken this iteration of on the console idea and kind of applied the model of mobile phones to it, in a sense, where it's like, okay, you can get the regular console and this thing's great and it'll play a 4K DVD or 4K Blu-ray, and you're fucking golden. But if you want to step it up to the next level and get the iPhone, blah, 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 you can. You know?
Yeah.
Implying that the iPhone is the next level up.
Well,
rather than down.
you know what I mean. You know, I'm just saying because that's the thing that most people are going to relate to. They're going to be like, oh, you can get the regular iPhone, or you can get the fucking $1,000 iPhone. You know, fucking that.
Or you can get a phone that doesn't suck. You know.
Well, yeah, or you could do that.
No.
There are options out there. Well, and that's what this is. This is feeding that consumer that doesn't want to deal with all the bullshit that you get with a PC, and maybe is looking for something a little bit more special. It's like, oh shit, I can fucking play in 4K. That's the new thing. It's like kind of like when 3D came out. It's like, oh my god, 3D TVs, blah, 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 everything's got to be 3D. So this 4K is the new sales, motif, if you will. So I mean, I think there's always going to be a need for consoles. There's always going to be a place for them, but man, that fucking $500 price point is really steep for what you're getting. Yeah, but, I mean, it is a nice piece of hardware if you don't already have a gaming PC or another console. I mean, the specs on the thing anyway look pretty fucking tight. It's just like, yeah, there's a lot going on there. It's pretty cool. So there's a place for it, but to a PC gamer, you look at that and you're just like, yeah, well, I could do that for a lot cheaper. It's like kind of lackluster to a certain degree, but to the average consumer though, that's a special thing. That's something. It's like, okay, that's something I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
But of course, as you've said, the price point is worrying because with consoles now, they are sort of being released more regularly. Like you said, like mobile phones. And from a parental perspective, kids are going to want the new versions all the time. And I, for one, certainly can't afford to buy new consoles whenever they come out for my lot. So it is worrying in that respect.
Which is why you save up, get them a PC, and then just spend the money you spend on consoles on graphics card update.
Yeah, I mean, the PC gaming build I've got, which I give full credit to Megamike here as providing it to me. I don't think I have to update this if I want to play one of the newer games for at least another maybe 8 or 9 years, perhaps.
Let's not push it that far.
Well, you never know, but. And also, I've got to point out the prices on console games these days are getting ridiculous compared to what you can get on PC.
Yeah,
that's why you stick with Nintendo.
Right.
I mean, it's designed to be affordable, and honestly, that's why I've kind of stuck with that over Sony and Microsoft.
No,
you're just a Nintendo fangirl is the problem.
Okay, that too.
No shame. No shame.
Right.
Blame my dad. He bought me the N64 in 1998, and I've been hooked ever since.
Well, it was a great console.
We can get into the pricing and that stuff, I think, a bit later. We potentially have to get to this EA loot box thing.
Oh, that's coming up. Right, but next is a topic which we've discussed pretty much every gaming stream we've had, and it's obviously going to stay, and that is, of course, crowdfunded games. To start off with, still no sign of Star Citizen. And then the news,
ever coming out.
And then the news that they're taking out a bank loan and putting up their assets as collateral.
Space Industries?
Yeah, but this
$95 million are taking out a loan.
This was apparently to get an advance on the UK tax rebate, which was fair enough, but it's still very, very. It doesn't look.
The other thing to bear in mind, lads, they are selling plots of land, virtual land that doesn't exist, for $100 a pop.
Goodness gracious. I feel so bad for these people that got suckered into this and that are still like on board and being like, no, it's gonna be the best thing ever. Oh, poor soul.
They've got JPEGs. That's all they've got.
They've got JPEGs.
They've got a technical alpha demo that kind of runs. But the shenanigans about getting bank loans and all this other stuff. I'm old enough to remember the 80s when you had this sort of stuff happening with banks and the rest of it, and it's just setting off all the alarm bells.
Yeah,
it's like this seems oddly familiar.
Right,
where have I seen this?
Bring out Elite Dangerous without $95 million, and Star Citizen's supposed to do much the same thing. You think, well, hold on. Why do you need $95 million to do something you can clearly do for like 10?
Yeah. And you can get it on the Steam sale for like $14 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then
instead
was
of like $10,000 for a ship, like as Mike put it, a JPEG.
Yeah.
That's all it is at this point.
Yeah, you're right.
Ships haven't actually been coded into the game. They've not been modeled. They're not anything other than a JPEG that you can show your friends and go, look, I'm going to maybe get this in 5 years if this game never comes out.
Yeah.
Someday I'll be flying this around. Someday.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Guess what? It only cost me $30,000.
Like hundreds of thousands of dollars in.
Yeah.
When it all kind of goes bust, I'm kind of torn between wanting to sit in the Star Citizen subreddit and they're not, because like it's going to be like, Wall Street, a Wall Street crash. You have people throwing themselves off metaphorical buildings. I think.
Oh, but maybe they'll literally throw themselves off a building.
Yeah, they're going to sign it Second Life and throw themselves off a building.
Oh, fucking bravo!
Oh Jesus!
God damn it!
Oh Jesus Christ!
I'm anticipating pitchforks and torches towards fucking Chris Roberts' house.
Yeah, let's
I'm
not catch it.
anticipating Chris Roberts to pack his suitcase full of money and just do the fly to Spain sort of thing,
Oh, no, it'd be like the end of Akira when the fucking politician has got the fucking bag full of money, he's dragging it through the street, popping the pills and stuff. Oh my God! Sorry for anybody who doesn't understand what I'm fucking nerding about.
Yeah, I got it. This next one was a funny one. This was the game 2064, which was a Kickstarter project. The developers of the game tweeted that they did not want Trump voters playing their game.
Oh my God, yeah.
Telling them to fuck off. They later appealed for good reviews for the game after the Metacritic scores bombed thanks to the quote-unquote alt-right, which has now become the media whipping boy instead of Gamergate these days.
Anyone to the right of Stalin, I think.
No, but they blame the alt-right on Gamergate, though. That's the other fucking new byline now. It's like, gaming created the alt-right, which got Trump elected, therefore Gamergate got Trump elected.
The game sales did well and even increased for a while afterwards, and the Metacritic score has climbed from 4.4 to 5.7 as a result, but still it's a case of yeah, I know, but you don't want to attack your own audience like that, or your own potential audience, I should say.
Do you even have gains, bro? I mean, come on.
That was a little one I found quite funny, so I included that in it just for a laugh.
I've got one from this week. Oh no, last week that I found funny. Brad Wardell getting into it with a developer over in Perth, Western Australia of Stirfire Games, who wrote an article basically saying, I don't personally support Blacklist, but I support Blacklist. Now,
right.
Yeah, now, hang on. I have to put my hand up about this one. Yeah, hang on. I put my hand up about this one. Here's my connection to it. I went to school with the person who runs Stirfire Studios. I knew them for many years, back before they decided to become a woman. So, yeah, seeing them go off like that, I'm like, dude, I grew up with you, and we used to get the shit kicked out of us on a regular basis, and now you're turning into one of the bullies because you've, decided that you'd be being better off being a woman. I'm like, it explains a whole heap about him.
Hey,
to be honest,
Wombat, they're on the right side of history because of what they said. You got to remember that. I mean,
yeah. And
you got to be on the right side of history.
Referencing, he was talking with Brad, and he was in the article. He was. She was referencing PAX Australia 2014 and Gamergate. Right. I was actually an enforcer at that PAX, and I was catching up with them when I was there. So, yeah, no, you weren't concerned so much.
You were the problem.
GGs. You were just virtue signaling your mind out about it. And he was going, actually we're going, the enforcers, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, we were briefed, and we had very specific instructions and rah. So, yeah, I actually DM'd Brad about that and just gave him my 2 cents as to,
Wait, do you have the quotes that they actually said or not?
I don't have the article up in hand.
Okay, because what they said was pretty fucking. It was pretty disgusting, frankly. Like if you're a normal person and you're reading this, you're like, this person's off their shit. It's like, seriously, it's like, how can somebody come out publicly and say such reprehensible things and not expect some blowback from it?
Yeah,
it's like you're literally like you're almost literally calling to beat people up. I mean, it's like you're almost inciting violence with what you're saying.
Yeah. And the thing is, what that makes me really sad, having grown up with this person, it makes me genuinely upset because they were never like this, and it's only it's only after they sort of went to university and fell in with a certain crowd that, when I caught up with them years later, that, it was sort of, a real 180 from what they used to be. So for me, it's kind of, the person I knew back in the day is gone, and they've been sucked into the cult, as it were.
Wait, I think someone's trying to do ASMR behind you.
All right, and the next one, which was a bit sad to read about, was We Happy Few. The game was going to come out as a reasonably priced indie game, but then it's now being published by Gearbox. It doubled in price. Doubled in price.
I'm not as familiar with this one. What was the original price, and what did it double
29.
to?
It was 29.
Yeah.
And now it's 60.
early access. Yeah.
It's still early access too.
Yeah. Acquired a season pass.
Okay.
No, I was kind of disappointed with that game from the get-go, because when the trailer came out, it looked awesome, and it looked like it was going to be this really cool, like, dystopian kind of thing.
Kind of like
and then they decided to make it into like a survival crafting game.
Yeah.
In a dystopian setting.
That sounds amazing.
And I was just like, you really didn't, like, I thought it was basically going to be like BioShock set in England is what it was, except with like a creepier, more like 1984 Clockwork Orange kind of vibe, and I was really excited for it. And then they're like, nah, just kidding, we want to hop on that early access survival game trend. It made me so sad.
They even announced the collector's edition of the whole thing, which didn't even include the game itself, just a series of props and books and so forth.
$80 for the damn thing.
Yeah, it's so disappointing to see that happen. Of course, on the Steam forums, fans collectively threw their shit out of their prams about it, and fair play to them. One of the comments I remember seeing was some guy said, "Well, I was looking forward to this, but now I'm not. Gearbox are involved."
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like that. I think that's one of the things that really turned off a lot of people is because Randy Pitchford got his fucking dirty ass fingers into it.
Yeah.
And fuck Randy Pitchford. Fuck that piece of shit. Fuck him. He's a blight on the games industry. Plain and simple. It's not.
You don't like him, do you, Scott?
That motherfucker has done.
That's what you really think, Scott.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what? Okay, you want to know what I really think? Okay, here's what I really think. Randy Pitchford had a moment in time where he could have fucking helped the situation that's been going on for the past couple of years. And instead he turned into a fucking dickhead. Well, it turned into a dickhead. He's always been a dickhead. But, he doubled down on being a dickhead, and he fucking made things worse. And I can't abide people like that. And it's fucking infuriating. And not to mention the fact that he's just a lying piece of shit when he fucking talks about alien colonial marines. All the other shit that happened.
Randy Pitchford is going to save the games industry with his songwriting. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh yes.
Look, the best we can hope for Gearbox is they get bought up by EA and it just becomes a singularity of shit and just implodes.
Well, the thing, like Nicole said, like when We Happy Few came out, I was actually really looking forward to that. I played a little bit of it, like real early on before they started like changing the complete direction of the game, basically. And I was like, oh, this has some potential. This is actually really kind of neat. And I thought it was going to be kind of like in that same kind of flavor as BioShock. I thought it was going to be that sort of thing. But like with, like she said, it's like kind of like a Clockwork Orange Big Brother kind of, tint to it. And it looked really interesting. It looked like it had a lot of potential. But then, like Nicole said, it's fucking, they changed the direction of it to cash on the sweet survival money of that crafting shit. And then Pitchford got involved, and it's like, I don't want anything to fucking do with this. And I'm so glad that I never got involved with it, because I was like, $30, I could support this. This is kind of a thing. But then fucking Pitchford, like, seriously, what the like, oh, we're gonna stamp our Gearbox logo on it and add another fucking $30 to $50 to the price tag. It's like, get the fuck out of here,
Randy, you're overestimating your brand worth at the moment. It's
really.
No, but like Borderlands was really good, and so was Colonial Marines.
So you know what? Look, I'll give credit where credit is due. Borderlands 2, the DLC stuff, like with Tiny Tina and all that stuff. And I fucking can't stand what's his nuts.
Anthony Birch.
Thank you. Because I forgot his name for a minute. Sorry. Anthony Birch.
So did his wife.
He's such a dumbass. Oh god, he's another guy. I
just love it how it came out.
Structoid. But like, I'll give him credit. That was some good writing. Like that fucking hit me in the right spot. Like he did a really good job on that. But Fuck him, he's a fucking little dumbass.
We'll move on to the next one. Move on to the
Came out
next.
this week that all of Handsome Jack's stuff in Borderlands 2 was ad-libbed by the voice actor, and Birch didn't write any of it.
Oh yeah, nice.
All right, we'll move on to the next one before Scott really sort of goes nuclear. And that was the development with Psychonauts 2, where it was revealed that Tim Schafer will be going through a publisher, which I believe was Starbreeze Studios. Now, as I understand,
Shitface.
yeah, Mr. Shitface. Now, as I understand this, and someone stop me if I'm wrong, but when you go for a publisher, you have to pay back the money that they've given to you first before the investors get anything. Which,
Correct.
yeah, which rightly pissed a lot of people off because Shitface was all about being indie, but then he turns around and goes with the publisher. I can only wonder why.
But wait, what was the crowdfunding thing that he did? Was it Fig?
Fig,
Is that what it was?
yes,
Fig.
Yeah.
Yep. And we discussed this last year, and again, I've noticed after everything, everyone who looked at it, like I said, Jenna Bain of Total Biscuit's a wife, and a business. She's brilliant in business in her own right.
Mm-hmm.
She went through and she had a long, hard look at it, and got a professional auditor of she knew to have a look at it as well, and they both just screamed, "Nope, this is dodgy as hell. Do not go anywhere near it." So yeah, anyone, and with Shitface's history, anyone who gave him money, I've no sympathy. You guys are going to learn eventually.
Right.
Mm.
I can't
so
stand Mr. Shitface.
no,
Just in case anyone was not clear.
no, because they were in the chat room. I mean, with obviously Mike in the Shemfest one, they were talking about Psychonauts being free with the Humble Bundle, and there were people saying, "I don't care, it's free. I'm not touching it."
Yeah.
This is the reputation that he's got now.
Even if Mr. Shitface came to my house and gave me $20 to play his game, I wouldn't.
Same.
And of course, next was Yooka-Laylee.
I actually like that game.
Yeah.
I know everyone's
Seriously,
reaction is
Xbox
good. Oh no.
Yeah, again,
Well,
it was
we'll
just,
go through this. We'll go through this in stage because obviously the main thing that was wrong with this was John Tron's silly comments he made, which got him cut from the game. Now he took it well and he wished them good luck, but the publishers handled it particularly bad. People were demanding refunds and being banned from the Steam forums. They were even being mocked by the moderator on Twitter, a gentleman with blue hair who was tweeting so many anime avatars. Now, Nicole, if I remember rightly, you backed this. What were your thoughts on it in the game itself?
I did.
As well,
on the on how they handled it.
In
No,
general,
on the game itself,
I think they handled it terribly. And honestly, like if you hadn't told me that John Tron was going to be in the game, I wouldn't have known. A lot of people didn't know until he got kicked off of it.
Yeah, I
and
didn't
like
know.
his role was such a small part that I might have noticed it and being like, oh, hey, that's John Tron. But honestly, if they had just said nothing and then when confronted said like, oh yeah, we don't, stand by any of his opinions, but we'd already agreed to have him in our game thing and maybe we won't work with him in the future, that would have been a much better way to handle it than trying to go nuclear.
was the game good?
What exactly did John Tron do? Can you give it did he actually speak or did he just
okay, so Yooka-Laylee, it tried to mimic that Banjo-Kazooie kind of talking where it's like rah, 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 rah,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
He basically did 2 or 3 lines of that for a character that was a porta potty.
right?
And that's it.
So basically, he didn't really say anything. He just
No, he really didn't.
It was like
It was literally a toilet
joke.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah,
he did
it
something
was
like
just a
that.
toilet joke cameo.
Right.
The problem was that John Tron had said what some
Right,
circles
no.
considered controversial out in the real world, and
Right.
basically it was a witch hunt to try and destroy John Tron and get him removed for anything.
Oh, yeah.
I
just
To be
wanted
fair,
to
some of the
for
stuff
anybody
he
who
said
didn't
was some of the stuff he said was honestly like pretty bad.
Oh no, yeah. What the stuff that
Yeah.
he said was like a lot of it was just straight up indefensible.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised by people trying to it seriously sounded like he had gone on the pole board for the first time. And had never and had just never to bothered to fact check anything or I'm not one of those people to say that race realism equals racism, but his facts weren't even right. You know?
Yeah,
it was just
it's
straight
kind
up
of like he
bad.
had a stroke and just started talking.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And he
That's
had
what-
to know that people were going to react horribly. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just, what was he thinking?
Of
Yeah.
course.
He wasn't thinking,
think-
and that's probably
no.
the problem.
JonTron doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that thinks before he does anything, ever,
Yeah.
at any
And it was
point.
just
Well, no.
And it was just like-
I have to disagree with you on that real quick. Sorry, real fast to close, because that dude's been on YouTube for a long time, and he's done a really good job at curating his image. So that's why it was such a big deal. It's like, wait,
Threw it away.
what? Yeah, he just
Yeah.
fucking pitched it. It was like, okay, yeah, forget all this fucking like decade of building I've done. I'm just gonna fucking come out and be a fucking
I think
dumbass.
there, though, there's the difference between what he does when he's recording his videos and what happens when he's put in, on the spot. 'Cause
Right.
can
And it was
read politics
stupid of
and
him to put himself on the spot like that. And he should know, as like an industry veteran, basically,
Right.
what was going to happen. Because he's not a political YouTuber to start with. And when you come out and you start talking politics and you aren't already a political persona, you're going to start losing followers no matter what you say.
Yeah.
And the fact that what he said was like pretty repulsive.
Yeah, it's pretty inflammatory to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not suggesting for a second man shouldn't have just kept his mouth shut.
oh yeah.
Mm.
Like I understand wanting to speak out against like the SJWs or whatever, but like he could have done it in a way that was not
bit more
horrifically
savvy.
racist.
Yeah.
He's not good at off the cuff stuff, and but on the other side of the coin, it was the usual witch hunt of what he was saying was indefensible in a lot of cases. It's the same. There's proportional response, and then there's what happened, right? Yeah,
Right.
it's basically purge him
There's
from
the virtue
everything.
signaling
Yeah.
outrage,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So I have to ask Nicole, did you like the game though? Was the game good?
I really enjoyed the game. I think when it came out, I will say there were some camera issues that made it difficult to sort of navigate.
Yeah.
They finally fixed like, a month or two later, but that was kind of, too little too late. But I actually really enjoyed it. For what I paid for it, I think I paid $15 or $20. I got a
Yeah.
lot of fun out of it. I don't think I would pay full price, which I think is $30.
Mm.
But if it was like on a sale, I would totally pick it up.
It
But I
is
think-
on, just in case anyone is wondering. I got a push notification earlier today saying save on video game deals on Amazon today for Cyber Monday week, and Yooka-Laylee for PS4 is one of the games that's discounted.
Oh, nice.
I
See,
think
like,
it's on
I think the
Fnatic
biggest
also.
thing-
It's on sale there too, as well, I believe.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was that it advertised itself as like a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
something
but
you
you
should
can't-
never
yeah,
do because you're
you
not
can't
going to be
beat
able to live up to
Banjo-Kazooie.
that. Yeah, exactly. You're not going to be able to live up to the nostalgia, like all that stuff. And they did have a lot of rare devs and stuff, which was great. But they really should have focused on advertising their new IP instead of focusing on like, oh, we're the Banjo-Kazooie team. Look at how good we were at Banjo-Kazooie. Hey guys, remember that game from your childhood that you really liked, Banjo-Kazooie?
That seems to be
Because then when people played it, they were like, this is not good. Like, it's not as good as Banjo-Kazooie, which I never went into it thinking it was. And because I had kind of like those, let's approach this with new eyes, I enjoyed it. But other people who went in like, this is Banjo-Kazooie, were very disappointed.
There
So
seems to
on-
be that thing in the indie scene where they're all just trying to basically make games that trade on nostalgia. So,
yeah.
and I'm one of those ones. I'm like, no, I want novelty. I want new. I don't want to play games that are like games I played, 20 years ago, because I can just go back and play the games I played 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Now on to the next one, which I'm gonna have to confess beforehand, it was one I backed. Was Friday the 13th. The game came out to mixed reviews as well as various bugs at launch, which apparently have been ironed out. Yeah. And shit, where do I even start with this? I haven't been able to get a full game going on it because even though I have a damn good connection, it kept kicking me out of games, which I was able to last more than 5 minutes in. The connections to the servers are fucking terrible. Besides the fact that the animation is horrible in some cases, the graphics look fucking terrible, and the facial expressions of
The
the
facial these are the
yeah,
worst.
they look awful.
Oh god, the faces are so
yeah.
fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And the thing is, it's literally a game with one mode in it at this moment in time, which is essentially hide from Jason and get the car going so you can get out there. Yeah. Apparently, further updates have been promised, but it's a crap game, and I tell you, I wish I had backed it.
Yeah, that's,
Well, for
that's-
$30, it's a crap game. If you could have gotten it for 10 or 15, it's a neat
Yeah.
little novelty thing because it can
No.
be fun. I've watched
My-
some gameplay of it, and it looks like it can be kind of fun when it works. But yeah,
When
there
it
are
works.
just a myriad of fucking bugs in
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah, but like
my
I
point
couldn't
is-
get a full game with it at the moment, and I've just bothered with it since. So it's
Yeah.
sitting on my gaming PC as a reminder that I basically wasted money.
Yeah.
But again, if it's buggy and things like that, I'm like, no, it's not even worth $10. I'm sorry, but if it's still basically in beta and not ready for release, then it's not ready to be paid for.
Yeah,
So
Oh, that's a good
it's like
point.
you're basically describing to me a game that's non-functional, right?
Yeah.
If it's so the fact that games like that are able to be sold on Steam, was it pick it up on Steam or just buy the?
I got a Steam code. I
Yeah,
think
it's interesting.
you get physical releases for the consoles, but well, that's for them chaps.
But again, it's the fact that it's allowed
that
to
came
be
out
put on
months
there.
after the
Yeah.
release. You could get it digitally, but then it was like months later they did the physical copies. And part of the problem was that they were kind of banking on the whole Tom Savini was working on the game thing. That was like a big
Yeah.
marketing push for them. It's like, oh, special effects artist legend Tom Savini's working on this game.
I'm
So
like,
Yeah.
they're
well, my
banking on
response
his
to that
name.
is, my response to that is
Yeah.
Tom Savini's working on it. Great. So has Tom Savini learned to code games? No. Then what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
I love Tom's work, but
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the
as well.
one of the good things to read about with it was the fact that they got Kane Hodder, who was Jason for a few of the films, to actually do the mocap for him, which was pretty cool when you think about it. But again, it's a shit game.
Yeah, they spent all their money on star power stuff instead of
Yeah.
actually developing a game that works.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
when I start
Yeah,
seeing
'cause
games, and
Content
Star
is very
Citizen
much
does this as
lacking.
well. Oh, we're getting famous actors and to do this stuff, and then for me, that
Right.
immediately starts setting off alarm bells because that's where the budget's going, not into actual game dev.
Yeah,
Well, and two, it's just like, okay, here's another problem. Like you bring up the issue with the Star Citizen thing. It's like, okay, that's great. You're bringing in Mark Hamill, you're bringing in Michael Bain, you're bringing on all these people, but where's the fucking game?
yeah,
It's like you've got your priorities in the wrong fucking places. That, like you said, that should have set off alarm bells for people immediately. It's like, because if they don't even have a functioning game and they're trying to fucking dress up a pig, basically, is what they're
Yeah.
doing. It's like, oh no, but Mark Hamill, he lends us credibility. Michael Bain, you know who Michael Bain is, right? He's a famous movie actor. you buy our game. Look, they're in our game where they're famous. It's like, but your game, you don't have a game. There's no game there.
yeah.
It's a collection of JPEGs.
I think that. But I mean, a lot of them guys, the problem is the same with the journalists in that they want to be doing film, but they're stuck
Yeah.
with gaming.
Yeah.
You know, because I know Sandy Gardner wants to be in film because she spent all of people's Star Citizen money on her acting lessons. So,
Really?
well, I mean, allegedly,
Oh, yeah.
but she did.
Yeah.
She bought a studio to do acting in, and
Really?
the whole fucking setup and everything.
Wow.
Let's on to the next one then, which was Project Phoenix. This was one that was crowdfunded for $1 million, and after a lengthy delay, they released a totally different game called Teeny Metal.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
This is
And
the fucking dodgy one.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
the lead developer was accused of using the Kickstarter money to fund Teeny Metal instead of Project Phoenix, thanks to a former developer within the company.
Right.
The developer denied the
sold them out.
claims, saying that the money went towards the demo, and that the required funds would be to finish the game would be coming from other deals. That's not how a Kickstarter works, or supposed to work anyway. And you read that and you think, what the fuck?
See, this is why I don't like the fucking Kickstarter stuff. I mean, it's like, I like the idea of it when it works, but systems like this are made to be taken advantage of by people. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a
we
gamble.
see it over and over. Exactly, it's a gamble, and I don't think enough people understand the concept of buyer beware when it comes to these sorts of things. And granted, Kickstarter has done some things to try and mitigate this and like made their rules a little bit more set in stone, and as before where there was kind of this amorphous idea. It's like, oh yeah, use Kickstarter, everything's gonna be great.
This is why I almost never contribute to Kickstarters, admittedly.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
it's
I think I've
too much of a
contributed
gamble.
5 or 6 Kickstarters since like Kickstarter became a thing, and it's always like I'm willing to invest in the idea of this being created.
Yeah.
It's never like I'm willing to invest in this. I'm definitely going to get a fully complete game.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And that's
Usually
what you
like,
have to
I'll throw
understand.
20
Most
bucks.
people don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
most
and
people.
as long as you go in with that mindset, then you're fine. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to take the chance, so I just avoid it.
Oh, I didn't
Well-
know Darkest Dungeon was a Kickstarter game. That's pretty nice. There have been some really good
well,
successes.
Yes,
And
they
well,
have.
that's the
and-
thing, though, too. Though, when you're talking about Darkest Dungeon, though, that is a very specific example of a group of people living within their means.
Yeah.
They didn't that like when you're developing a type of game like that let's just be very honest, it's a very low cost game because there's not a lot involved graphically, and they understood what they were trying to accomplish and what they needed to accomplish, and they lived within their means with that. But then
Yeah.
you've got like fucking Roberts Space Industries and fucking all these other fucking places that they see that money coming in, they're like, holy shit. And they go crazy. They have a fucking stroke, and they lose their goddamn minds. They're like, oh my God, we've got all this money. Oh, let's have fun.
Yeah,
Let's have fun.
that's
That's the noise you make on Coke, man.
Yeah, right? Oh, you do it too. Okay, cool. I'm not the
putting
only
on my
one.
project manager professional hat. That's not an issue isolated to gaming. You see that in a lot of
for
other
sure.
projects.
Yeah.
It's scope creep, and the fact that Roberts had no one around to tell him no,
Right.
and he just went nuts. So, yeah.
Well,
I'm wondering whether 2018 will finally see the Star Citizen bubble pop. I really hope so.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
honestly kind of tired of hearing about it, and I think
Yeah.
that might just be because I follow Derek Smart on Twitter.
Oh God, Captain Ahab, he wants to get that fucking whale, dude. He wants it. He's gonna have it one day.
Yeah.
Well, for the first time, though, I can actually end the topic of crowdfunding games on a positive note, and that's Battle Chasers was released this year,
Yeah.
and I backed this one. And I think Scott probably remember me talking about this a long time ago because I was weary of doing so. Because for those who don't know, it was based on a comic series by Joe Madureira, who's obviously involved with the game.
Notoriously unreliable release schedule.
Yeah,
comic.
Notoriously, I think in between two issues there was a year's wait.
At least.
And
At
yeah,
least.
and when I backed it, I thought, I don't know if I should have done this. And then obviously the Kickstarter closed, my money was taken. I thought, shit, here we go.
Right.
But the game was released with a successful beta beforehand, and it's a great game.
It looks beautiful too.
It's a great game. It's literally
Yep.
very reminiscent of the Final Fantasy older games, the turn-based combat.
Yeah, it's a very classic
And-
RPG.
Yeah, and I would recommend it to anyone who is interested because I've been playing it for a little while and I've barely scratched the surface of it. I've encountered no bugs, no glitches or anything like that. I'm so pleased that this one worked out all right, but it's literally the only one that I can recall that I've been happy with to see, successful.
Yeah.
So anyone who's listening, check it out because it is a great game.
And I'm really happy about that in terms of project. Like, again, if
Yeah.
games are managed, the projects are managed properly, they succeed. It's just seems to be just so much shit organization out there.
Yeah.
And, is
And
what's doing it. And then there's just this stuff that's just dodgy and outright fraud. Stuff that's
And I do think also that it gives Madureira some of his credibility back because a lot of people in the comic world didn't look too kindly upon him after the way Battle Chasers was just suddenly cut with the storyline not even finished.
Yeah, him and Jeff Scott Campbell, they kind of pooched it because he did the same thing with Danger Girl and some of the other stuff he was working on. And it's funny too because at the time it's like it was Madureira, Campbell, and Ramos, Humberto Ramos.
Yes, that's right.
And Ramos kept his schedule every month, man. He
Yep.
put out fucking Crimson, which was a great book. It was a beautiful book. Every month he was fucking clockwork. But Madureira and fucking Campbell, man, you could not count them. It's, I think what did Battle Chasers end up only releasing 8 issues over 3 years? I think
it was 10 issues.
Oh, was it 10? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it was 10.
Yeah.
But,
And then
yeah.
Danger Girl was the same kind of thing. It was like, I mean, I think it released more than 10, but still, it was like there were these 2 or 3 month gaps in between things. And it's like, for Madureira to be involved in the game, for the Battle Chasers game, and for it to come out and to be as good as it was,
yeah.
That's a big win for him. And I feel, I'm like, cool, man.
And I can
Well,
also.
we're drifting into comics. It's still better than the G.I. Joe stuff that got pulped before it even ever hit the stands.
Yeah. I can also say for anyone interested, a Switch version is not far away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, it is. It is coming out.
Always on it.
So Yeah. I'll definitely recommend it.
Do you know how excited I was to hear that Skyrim, of all things, was coming to the Switch?
Oh gosh, really?
Skyrim
No,
is
it's
coming
all-
to everything.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I picked up for like Cyber Monday deals. I picked up Flame in the Flood and Stardew Valley for Switch.
Yeah.
Because both of those are games that I can just pick up anytime, play for a couple hours, put it back down, and I'm like, that's perfect for the morning commute.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So for the next topic, Scott, don't shoot me before I say this.
There
But
it goes.
we do have to occasionally sort of mention when game critics or journalists, what we want to call them, talk about stuff and get it right. And Jim Sterling did a video where he talked about EA being the Unicron of the gaming industry because of the companies that they swallow up and devour. And
Right.
yeah, and one of the
He
casualties.
knows a lot
this year-
about swallowing and devouring things.
Yeah, and one of the casualties this year of EA was Visceral Games. May they rest in peace. This one pissed me off because I was a big fan of the Dead Space series.
Yeah.
Including 3, I will say. And obviously the cancellation of Amy Hennig's Star Wars game.
Ooh,
Yeah.
dude, that was one that has been on and off for a number of years now. And when they brought
Yeah.
Henning on, like I was like, oh shit, they're finally gonna get it done. I was like, because that was one of those kind of things. It's like when you bring in Amy Henning, you're serious about the project. She's one of those she's a deliverer. She's somebody that fucking puts things out. You know,
Yeah.
like if she's on a project, she's one of those kind of names that when you hear her associated with it, you're like, this is probably going to be fucking good. It's probably going to be a quality piece of, you know, whatever it is, it's going to be quality and it's going to come out and it's something you can look forward to. It's like, because she's generally not terrible at what she does, you know? So I was super excited about that. And then when I found out that they fucking shit canned it, I was like, oh my God, EA, you're the fucking worst. Oh,
Yeah.
you're so bad.
I mean, there was a video.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on with that.
That was the more galling thing is they shit canned that game, and then they replaced it with the the utter monstrosity that is the whole Battlefield 2 thing.
Well, no, those things were going on concurrently.
That's coming up later. I promise you that.
Yeah,
But
those things were happening concurrently,
Yeah.
though.
But there were- there
them.
were issues which I'd heard about with the Star Wars game she was trying to make, where they were basically telling her she had to use the Frostbite engine. Which is primarily a first-person game.
No, but you know what the other thing was though. You know what they said to her? They had her in a meeting. This is a great quote. I don't know if you were going to bring this up or not about the we've got a $1 billion cash cow or whatever, however they phrase it. I forget the exact quote, but I'm paraphrasing obviously. But we've got $1 billion IP over here with our other thing with FIFA. What are you going to do? How are you going to make that? That's what we want from you out of this.
Yeah, I had heard that phrase.
Yeah, and it's just like, how do you even respond to that other than get fucked? It's like it's like if I was Amy Hennig, I would have been like, I'm a respected writer, a creator. I make games. I don't make $1 billion IPs. And it's not like you can just do that. It's like, $1 billion IP, here you go.
Yeah.
You know, fucking here. Yeah. Here's the silver platter. It's delivered. There. Are you happy now? It's like, oh my God, come the fuck on, dude. You know, because like, and that's another thing. It's like EA doesn't understand games. They understand making money. And the problem, EA has the ultimate player thing that is embed in FIFA, and that is, and part of the problem there is that gaming, or not gaming, but sports gaming is synonymous with betting, with gambling. So that is a component of those games that is almost a natural fit because of the ecosystem of sports. People love to bet on sports. So when you have that component introduced into the game, that's a very natural fit. It's like people don't balk at it. They're not like, oh, what the fuck is this? Whereas, an average gamer is like, why the fuck do I need to buy a fucking power up rig to buy some cards to get crystals to do this thing and why am I having to pay for this? This should just be something in natural game progression.
Yeah.
And see, they don't understand games. They understand making money. And they try and inject the ultimate gamer thing.
for NBA?
What was that?
NBA 2K18. Didn't that end up like $120?
Yeah, because they do various editions for their games now. You have like the standard silver, gold, and ultimate ship, which the prices can get absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. But EA, sadly, were not the only one to cancel the game this year because Scalebound was also shit canned.
Oh man,
was
well that
gonna
was a couple
be-
of years ago though.
No, it was
At
this
this
year.
point.
It was
This
delayed
year?
last year, cancelled this year.
Was it? I thought it
Yes,
was canceled last year. Okay.
no, it was delayed last year, cancelled this year.
Okay.
And the thing with Microsoft, with comes to the Xbox, they don't have that many games to play on the system, and this would have been the perfect exclusive. But
Yeah.
they canned it, and I was so shocked and saddened to see it because it looked like it was going to be a wonderful game.
Yeah, it looked really interesting because, like, they've got, like you said, they don't have a lot of like original IP stuff. They have like Crackdown 3 coming out. They had Scalebound.
Yeah.
But I mean, basically, the problem with the Xbox and the PS4 is they're redundant pieces of equipment. Honestly, when you look
Yeah.
at them, they have the Master Chief Collection and Halo and stuff like that. But everything else on them is repurposed PC games that they
Yeah.
ported over onto the console. So there's not. That's another problem with the console thing is that it doesn't do enough to differentiate itself any longer from PC gaming to make it a viable thing for, like, say, if like, hey, we're trying to convince PC gamers to play our console. It's like, well, you don't really have anything other than Halo and, you know, Crackdown 3, and that's going to be on Windows 10 anyway.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's not that thing like where the Switch, that's a very specific ecosystem. You got Zelda is on the Switch. Mario Kart is on the Switch.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. Granted, they are doing ports of other games and bringing them in, but there are things that are very specific to that platform that people want to play.
Yeah.
And consoles just don't have that anymore. So they've over specialized themselves out of the market basically by we've got all this stuff that's on the PC. Well, I already have it on the PC and I paid a fraction of it in a Steam sale.
Yeah.
Why? So it's just like, where's the value? You know, I'm not going to
Yeah.
pay $60 for Skyrim Special Edition when I can get it for fucking $15 in a Steam sale. So, yeah. Anyway,
It brings back sad memories though, because obviously there were other cancelled games which could have been something back in the day.
Yeah.
On the PlayStation 3, you had Coded Arms Assault, which from the trailer, which is still on YouTube, looked like it could have been something special. And of course, Star Wars 1313,
right, which
looked-
ended up being the thing that Amy Hennig was working on. That
Yeah.
was the thing she ended up getting on, and then they
Yeah.
canceled it. Obviously,
yeah, and that game also looked like it could have been something special, but
oh fuck yeah,
we will
I was excited
never
about
know
that.
now. I mean,
Yeah.
I watch the Coded Arms Assault trailer every now and then because it does show like a little snippet of gameplay. And there are people that are still commenting on the video to this day saying, I come here every so and so and I'm still in pain about it. Like, yeah, I can understand because the game looks beautiful. So yeah, sadly, 2 games we won't get to see.
Yeah, speaking of cancelled games, I'm not optimistic now that EA has bought Respawn. For
No,
the
I'm
Titanfall
not.
series.
This one's gone.
Yeah, goodbye, guys. You're next.
Titanfall was so good too, man.
Yeah.
I fucking love the original Titanfall. Like, people give it
Yeah.
shit, and granted, it did have its shortcomings. Like, it didn't have an amazing amount of content, but
Yeah.
you know, I can give it a pass a little bit because it's a new IP and they're trying something out before.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you don't want to, sell the whole cow. Basically, it's like you don't want to give it all away or whatever you want to call it.
But it was a
Well,
great game.
Oh, it's
Yeah, and
fantastic.
I've had everyone
Honestly-
I know who plays Titanfall 2 have had nothing but good things to say about it.
Yeah,
It
my
was
son
just-
plays
it
it.
sounds like it was just something that was never exploited to its full, never
Well,
developed
no,
to its fullest extent. And
They fucked it up though. They fucked it up with the
Yeah.
release because they did the same thing with fucking not Battlefront, Battlefield Hardline. They
Yeah.
released
Mhm.
that in between 2 other tentpole games, and it's like, what are you doing? You're releasing Battlefront and fucking Hardline at the same time? That's like- you're killing your own property by doing that. And they did the same thing with Titanfall. They wedged it in between Battlefield 1 and whatever the fuck else is coming out. I forget what it was. Right off the top of my head.
the conspiracy theory I've heard is that wasn't their decision because remember they were publishing via EA, and the theory is that EA was doing this because
to
they
devalue
wanted
it.
Yeah.
to devalue it so they could essentially get a hold of the company for a reduced price. Because people need to remember that EA is run by ex-Wall Street bankers who had burnout, decided they wanted to make games instead,
Right.
right? So, whenever you hear about EA's horrible predatory tactics and shit behavior, just remember it's run by ex-Wall Street people.
Right.
That's-
And to give you more perspective on that, the kind of people that go in and buy up companies and then part them out. They take them apart and sell off the bits because the parts are worth more than the whole. It's that same mentality. So this is par for the course for these type of people. That's what they do. That's how they make their quote unquote living, is by destroying other people's livings. So
I hate them all.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to start off talking about some of the game releases this year, and we'll stick to some of the more sort of well-known ones.
Guys, I think we can all agree that the biggest game released this year was Pocket Camp.
Oh yeah! Oh my
Stop
gosh, I cannot put that game down right now.
Well, the first one I was going to.
That is, aside from something I do when I'm alone.
Well, the first one to talk about is the absolute train wreck that was Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh god, my face is tired right now.
Now, with this, the warning signs were there early on. Various staff jumped shipped before the game was released. There was the infamous convention footage where the slow disarm of the handgun, glitches, the poor voice acting, the dialogue,
pistol.
yeah, the poor
Terrible facial animations.
yeah, the awful dialogue such as "Sorry, my face hurts." And
my face is tired. My face is
Oh,
tired.
that's it. Yeah, sorry. And the other one which made me laugh. What was it? I think I really pissed that one off, probably because I shot him in the face. The division of BioWare that made the game ended up closing down. And single-player support has dropped. Multiplayer will continue. There was even an attempt by its fans, the apparent SJW audience, if you want to call them that, who attempted to get it nominated for a Dragon Award for Best Game. Yeah. Now this was such a train wreck, as I've said. A classic example of the wrong people getting involved in a game.
Wait, what are you trying to say, Justin? That hiring a fucking racist, sexist asshole like Manveer Ear to work on your development team is a mistake? Oh, come on now, please.
Do you mean Curry Thunder? That's what he calls himself.
What does he call himself?
Curry Thunder.
Curry Thunder?
Yep.
Oh my god.
I mean, he is a big stinky pile of shit. So yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, the thing is, he's now over there working on the Star Wars Battlefront 2 stuff, so that tells you all you need to know.
Of course.
Yippee.
oh, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brown
Yeah,
Hitler.
all the crowd
Brown Hitler.
worked on that Mass Effect game. All basically got shipped over to work on the Star Wars stuff when they closed that studio down.
Oh, okay.
So that just moved shit around. They haven't got rid
Yeah.
of it.
Right.
But some of the glitches alone in that game that you come across.
Yeah, see, I played the demo for that, and it was awful.
Yeah.
If I can finish
Do the
the
10-hour
first,
thing, Mike?
yeah, the prologue thing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Right, so you've got 10 hours for the prologue, and I'd finished it in under 3, and I was
Yes,
looking for things to do, and I'm like, where's everything?
What do I do? Yeah, and when
Yeah.
you get to the places, it's like, yeah, no, it was a fucking mess. It was
Almost as bad as the ending of fucking Mankind Divided. You know, it's just like, oh, it's done now. Okay,
just go back to my apartment and chill out. It's cool.
yeah. Like what?
What really sort of shat me about that game was not the game itself, but the fact that game was what broke my faith in Total Biscuit when he basically gave it a hand wave through. Right, I was really disappointed with him giving it a pass, and I think it was potentially because of the controversy around, you're attacking a female dev, blah blah blah.
Well, what was his justification?
Oh, that's
He
right.
didn't give one. It was really, he's ripped games to shit for a lot less, and he just kind of hand waved it through, right? He gave it a reasonably sort of neutral to slightly positive review, and most of the long-term fans of him just couldn't understand it. We're like, why are you waving this through? It's crap, right? It was just, have EA just like driven a truckload of money up to your house? Because that's the only explanation. And we're just like, we're out. We can't, like, I'm sorry, dude. This is completely unlike you. And it just sort of, you kind of lost all integrity with us with the fact that you're just waving this thing through.
I hate to be delicate, but maybe he was suffering some side effects from his cancer treatments or something.
Again, that's kind of,
I hate to even bring that up because it's kind of fucking tasteless, but still, it's just like you said, it was very out of character for him to do that. And like again, anybody that even has played the game, like I both played the 10-hour free thing or whatever it was, and it was painfully obvious how bad the game was. I mean, you can't play it and then fucking say anything positive about it. You just can't. Like, you can't be a normal functioning, human being that has a brain and can wipe their own butt and pee and eat and sleep and shit and all that kind of stuff and play this game and not realize how fucking fucked up it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I mean,
that was what threw us. So like, to that point, like we're like we can't like blaming him just having brain fuzz because of the chemo. I'm like, no, even then, I'm sorry, but chemo brain fuzz does not do that. It's just that was just a complete 180. I'm like,
it was very odd.
Yeah, it was beyond odd. It just stunk to high heaven and low hell, and just I couldn't get past it.
Yeah,
it's just sorry, dude. It's
I mean, the endless amount of memes that game created. The video montages of the glitches on YouTube will be there for a long time, I think. But it was just such a shame to watch this company, which once was good, go in that direction.
But you know what? What's actually kind of positive about this, though, is that
Might be another one.
Well, no, there may be in the future, but and here's the thing: it's like I like the Mass Effect universe. I enjoy the games, and I know there's we can have the debate about Mass Effect 3 and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's another thing altogether. We don't need to go there. But I was cautiously optimistic about this. I didn't think it was going to be good going in because that's kind of the I have kind of the attitude of prove me wrong. And when I got to play it and saw how bad it was just like, oh fuck, that is terrible.
Yeah. When I had no faith in it when I saw the team working on it. Yeah.
Here's the point though, is that gamers spoke up about it. They had such a direct impact on that game that they shut it the fuck down because they realized they had burned a bridge and that they were not like if they had pushed through, they were going to lose even more money. They're like, oh man, we fucked up. And we're seeing that to some extent with what's going on with Battlefront 2 right now. People are pushing back. People are speaking with their dollars.
I
not
disagree. Well, I think the Battlefront thing is the only reason they backed off on that was because Daddy Disney came in and just smacked the crap out of them.
We'll bring up Battlefront later. That's on the way.
Daddy Disney.
Yeah.
Good way to describe that company.
But what my overall point is though is that you can have an impact on these kind of things if you speak with your dollars, you can have an impact on these kind of things. So it's like so I take that as a positive. It's a very small, it's a sliver of a positive, but I think there is a positive there to be taken.
Yeah. So we go from Mass Effect being the worst game of the year to arguably what was one of the best masterpiece actually considered by many, and that was of course Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Molly, do you want to go first on this one?
Gosh. I've spent quite a few hours in there so far. I guess it's become a little bit of a cliche at this point just because it's Zelda, but honestly, just with how much they experimented with and how much it doesn't feel like a Zelda game at all. It feels like something completely different. And I mean, it's fantastic. I can only just all of the detail, not just in the design, but in just all of the options for all of there is to do and all that there is to find. It's just incredible. You could play that game. I could play that game until I'm 80 and still not find everything that there is to find.
See, the thing is, to me, it felt a bit like Zelda on the NES, in that you can just go anywhere, do anything, and you don't need specific items to get specific places. You know?
Yeah, it's very, very open. I mean, there are basically when you start off, there are 4 main items that you have to get. It's not like traditional Zelda where you get 1 item per dungeon. You just kind of collect all the important stuff at the beginning. And then from there, you can either go straight to fight Ganondorf, or you can actually go through the main quest that will make the final boss battle a lot easier. And if you go on YouTube and look at some of the people who have done speed runs of Breath of the Wild, it is crazy impressive. It's really cool. I mean, and Link is in his underwear at the very beginning of the game, and then you collect clothing as you go along. So they're fighting Ganon, like Link is fighting Ganon in his underwear. So it's pretty funny.
Frankly, I was kind of surprised, like when I got to play, because I never played a Zelda game before, never. And I was like shocked at how well it ran on the Switch, because that was one of my initial things is like, oh man, this thing is just going to be a chug fest. It's going to, frame rate dips. It's going to be it's going to be unplayable because there's no way this tiny piece of hardware could support something like this.
Yeah.
And then you get in the game and it's butter. It is just buttery smooth.
Yeah, I
Not
will
a
admit
fucking
that.
hitch. It's so fucking good. And the game is, like Molly said, the game is huge. And it's not like, okay, here's something I have a problem with. This is a problem, especially with Ubisoft. Ubisoft did the fucking Ghost Recon thing, where it's basically a reskin of Far Cry and all their other games kind of thrown together. And they have mistaken the idea of something being big for something being good. Like there's fucking Wildlands is a huge game, but there's nothing to do there. It's a boring fucking slog. But Breath of the Wild is huge, and the world is filled with things. It's filled with places to go and explore and puzzles and things and all this kind of stuff. And it's just, you feel good about going around in this huge area. You feel like you're exploring like a fantasy game. Like you're finding out this new world. You're capturing horses and you're riding around and you're doing all this stuff, and it feels great. It feels rewarding. It's interesting. You know, there's something there and it's engaging. Whereas a lot of these games, like as an example, like the Ubisoft stuff, it's just big for the sake of being big. It's like, oh, we've got this huge in-game world. It's so big.
Right.
There's nothing to do in it. You know, but Breath of the Wild is fantastic, though. There's so much going on. It's just
Now, of course, it got rave reviews from just about every person that played it as a result.
Yeah,
except for Jim Sterling, who
what if he only gave it a 9 out of 10, and people couldn't stop shitting on him. I felt kind of bad for the guy.
He gave it a 7 out of 10.
Oh, 7.
Yeah, and was savaged by the Nintendo fans as a result.
Yeah.
And as Nicole said, I did feel a little bit bad for him as well, because everyone's entitled to
Nintendo fans can be ruthless.
Right.
Look, don't ever feel bad for Jim Sterling, please.
He was getting man.
Jim Sterling is a known plagiarist and a liar. Fucking don't feel bad for Jim Sterling. Jim Sterling is a fucking phony of the highest fucking order. Okay, dude. All right, when I was working at Destructoid, fucking Jim Sterling did a review of Halo Wars, right? A complete game review on a game he played for 20 minutes. We gave him so much shit. We made him go back and fucking play the game again and fucking rewrite the review, because like when we found out, one of the owners at Destructoid found out, he fucking confronted Sterling about it. He's like, I looked at your thing on Xbox Live and it says you only played like 20 minutes of the fucking game. It's like, and you're writing a fucking full review? No, sir. And I chewed Sterling's ass about it so much that he fucking actually blocked me on Xbox Live because I chewed his ass so hard.
Damn.
Fuck Jim Sterling. Jim Sterling is a plagiarist and a liar.
I will take that on board.
I have no sympathy for Jim Sterling.
Tell us how you really feel, Scott.
Right. Scott's on the roll with this stream, that's for sure. All right, okay, so the next one then was Prey.
Oh, God.
One, but I know you had a few things to say about this.
I was disappointed in Prey. It had so much potential. It just kind of ended up. There was a frustrating thing about Prey. It was just almost there. It just didn't quite hit the mark. Like, as far as gameplay goes, like, it was fine for me. I had no bugs, no crashes. It looked beautiful. I really liked the idea of the story. I played probably for the first few hours, and I'm just like, I just couldn't. I haven't finished it. I just couldn't finish it. There's just no motivation for me. I just get to a point where I'm just like, I've no impetus to continue playing because, I was bored. Comes down to it. So again, I was really disappointed in terms of what potential it had. It just didn't quite. It was almost there. I don't regret buying it, but I can't say anything more than that. It was just meh. I got no strong feelings about it one way or the other, which is the most disappointing thing.
But there was the worry before it released that there was no PC demo of the game. And when the version came out, minor issues were reported during the first week, mainly in regards to corrupted game saves. But that was patched during the second week.
Yeah.
But then Dan Stapleton for IGN, he reviewed the game and he encountered apparently what was a rare bug which corrupted his save. So he stopped playing the game and gave it a 4 out of 10. The developers found out about it and they sent him a special save file so he could finish the game. And in the end, he upped it to an 8. But yeah, it wasn't much of a great game, really, was it?
No, it was just kind of Again, I love the idea of the universe and everything else. It's just that's always the theory with movies that if I'm going to see a movie, I want to love or hate a character because that's a sign of a good character. If I'm coming out and I just don't give a fuck, then that's the worst kind of thing because I've got no investment to continue and play.
Yeah.
So,
that was the thing that I noticed from the demo when I played it on console. It was just like I didn't feel like that there were any stakes. I didn't feel like that I was risking anything or that I had any kind of like there was like any kind of like tension. There was that's probably the best way to say it. There was just a lack of tension. And then via that there's just a lack of investment in wanting to play because it's like, well, there's I don't feel a need to try because there's nothing that's really like because the enemy's little black blobby things are pretty easy to kill. And it just there wasn't ever a time that I felt like, oh my god, I'm low on resources. I can't do this. It's like, oh fuck, I gotta scramble. It's like it was all just kind of like, okay, yeah, freeze them with the goo gun and then smash them and then yeah.
But I got further into it when you get to the bigger guys, and there was times like that, but it was just more. Like you were saying, there's no real stakes, and just like I don't care. It's like
because I wanted to like it, I wanted to play it too, but like after the demo, I didn't really have any compulsion to be like, do I want to spend money on this? Yeah, not really. It's like, but I was interested in the idea of it, but when it came to the execution, while everything worked fine, it played well. Everything was crisp. It was good like that, but there was no like investment. It was like. We're not to equate it to like a Dark Souls game where it's like, you got to fucking try your ass off and all that kind of stuff because it's a totally different game. But like with that kind of game, it involves you because the stakes are so high, but there didn't really feel to be any tension with Prey.
Yeah. So they needed to go back and work on the story and, so I said, I hope their next outing is better, but yeah, it was just disappointing and it was just really just kind of mediocre.
So the next game, which is, this one is my game of the year, and that was, of course, Nier Automata, or Automata, if I'm saying it right or wrong. Now, this was made by this was made by Platinum Games, who were apparently in some financial difficulty after Scalebound was cancelled.
Not anymore, they're not.
No, the game was
that's right. They were doing Scalebound, weren't they?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
This game was a massive success, and it earned them awards from what was it? The Game Debate Review site. It will earn them the awards of Game of the Year, Best Audio, and Best Sci-Fi. No microtransactions, one minor bit of DLC, and it is a fantastic game. The opening level alone has 3 different styles of gameplay, a massive fuck-off boss fight, and it is.
Oh yeah.
It's fantastic, and it's also noticeable that the game never appeared on Xbox. I can only wonder why.
I didn't even know. Oh wow.
Yeah. Which they said was down to the fact that the Xbox console didn't sell very well in Japan or China, I think they said. But me personally, it was a little bit of revenge for Scalebound.
Yeah.
Oh right. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That and I think Xbox was kind of the whole booty controversy was just kind of I'm pretty sure that there's probably multiple factors.
Xbox has had
The
every
booty controversy.
They've had every iteration of fucking what was the beach volleyball game Dead or Alive. They don't care.
Dead or Alive Extreme or something.
Yeah, Dead or Alive Extreme. Yeah, that shit's been on every fucking Xbox console. They don't care about that shit.
Yeah,
but yeah, I have to admit I do love the fact that the developer, the artistic director, when pushed about the whole, you're making her sexy. It's like, yeah, I like sexy girls. What's the problem?
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
It's just
that's
like
how you respond.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was one of the things. Like I've been playing the game and I actually kind of put it down and forgot about it because I'm kind of got my ass up PUBG's or got my head up PUBG's ass because I'm just addicted to it and I love it. But the art style in the game is brilliant. I love the character design. I think the art style is fantastic. Like fucking with Cuphead. I still haven't played that yet. I bought it because I just adore the art style.
Yeah, I do too. I've played it. I've got to the point where I'm up to the second last boss battle.
We'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even the audio, the music for that game, it's fantastic. I've actually considered. I am going to buy the album on iTunes because it is that great. No, it is. It's some seriously great music. The best I've heard in a game for a while. And for anyone that's got a decent pair of gaming headphones, play the game with them on, because it's mind blowing. It really is. So this is, for me, this is my game of the year. It was that good.
Yeah.
And also at a decent launch price.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. That was another plus. It's like fucking this is a win-win.
Yeah.
And then you see all the action figures that they make of the main character, and it's like, woo.
Yeah.
Well, okay, maybe I was like, woo. No, I can't speak.
No, I know quite a few people, guys and girls, who were just like, woo, we want more 2B. 2B is best.
Yeah. It's also noticeable the amount of cosplayers that dress up.
Oh my god, the cosplay community exploded with 2B. Oh
yeah, absolutely.
Oh lord.
Yeah.
Lordy.
Oh Lord.
I remember it didn't die. It erased his search history, people.
I am unashamed of my search history when it comes to that. I'm just going to own it. There's
An interesting one then was Resident Evil 7. Now, this game totally changed the perspective from third to first person. Totally different story and setting. And it was a success, although strangely, it did not sell as well as 6, which was weird. Has anyone played this?
Too much of a departure for people that were like deep in the Resident Evil ecosystem.
It's definitely influenced by the likes of Outcast, isn't it? Or Outlast, sorry, whichever one it is.
Yeah.
But it was a good game as well, but strangely didn't sell as well as 6, because 6 is fucking terrible.
Maybe that was the reason.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
People's expectations were lowered.
Could be, yeah. See, I think I've played maybe 45 minutes of Resident Evil games total out of all the games. Yeah. It's just never appealed to me. I played was it Code Veronica for about 15 minutes on the Dreamcast. And I was just like, what the fuck is this camera? I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to play this? This is terrible. And I think I played one of the Biohazard ones. Like I got it in a bundle and I played it for a little bit. I'm just like, I don't know who any of these. I mean, I know who some of them are, but it's just like for the most part, I don't really know aside from like, just having been a gamer and known the things from other places like comics and toys and things like that. Yeah. But it's just like there's no investment for me. So like I don't know. So
yeah, I played the first 3 back in the day, but I've fallen off that series from ages. Just not my thing.
Okay, another one to watch, which was really funny, was Yakuza 0. It became famous after Patrick Klepek live streamed himself playing it, and when the sexy scenes come on with the Japanese girls in the underwear,
for the boobs, that's right.
he was covering his eyes. And you got
Mommy, I'm not allowed to see boobies.
Yeah, but it was so funny to watch him do it. You think, dude, you've got to be fucking kidding me. It's only an anime again. Yeah.
Patrick Klepek is an insufferable faggot. God damn, Patrick Klepek sucks.
Scott, is there anybody you do like?
No, I
love having Scott on the stream.
I like lots of people, but there are some people that deserve nothing but derision, and Patrick Klepek is one of them. He is fuck.
Now, to be fair to Patrick, he does keep the world's soy manufacturers in business. So
Patrick Klepek is proof that soy poisoning is real.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Oh, we're gonna have who's the fucking bring back? Oh, Sam Biddle. Yeah, fuck that guy too.
Okay, yeah, there's somebody that I think we can all agree is
garbage.
Yeah, just use the whatever choice word pops into your head.
Exactly. Yeah, whatever expletive comes to mind at the public.
So we'll switch to the next one then, which I know Scott's gonna have a laugh with, and that was called Lawbreakers.
Oh Jesus!
Now, speaking
of people I don't like,
there's 2 reasons, or either one, the other, or both, where I think this game failed, and that's either that it was one of these multiplayer only games that arrived at the party too late, or it was the fact that Cliffy B couldn't keep his gob shut on Twitter.
Well, no, there's another aspect. There's another aspect you're actually missing. Is that the game was originally supposed to be a free-to-play game, and then they're like, wait, hold on, no, we're going to charge you now. People are like, whoa, what? Wait, hold on a minute. So that was one of the big contributors right there, is that they fucking burned that bridge right out the get-go. But then, Cliffy B can't keep his stupid fucking mouth shut. Jesus Christ, that guy's insufferable.
Yeah. Because one of the things I remember him going on about was the fact that they put transgender exclusive bathrooms in the game. Because I remember seeing that and think,
Wait,
yeah,
really?
yeah,
Transgender
Yeah.
exclusive?
yeah.
That's
the
not
thing
even
is-
a thing I've heard of.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, because I've seen the screenshot, because he took it, I think he was boasting about it, where he showed the bathroom sign. But the thing is, it's a multiplayer only game. Who's actually going to stop long enough
Yeah.
to check that out?
Seriously.
And this was a game. This was a game, mind you, who couldn't even get the same multiplayer numbers as Battleborn.
Because when your game is sub Battleborn
there.
trash.
Yeah. So
Yeah, when
Yeah.
you can't even
Battlefield
get a
was
player
saying-
base as big as Battleborn, you just really just need to shut down the servers and examine your life.
I don't think it's got as much player base as Team Fortress 2.
No,
perfectly
please,
honest.
it doesn't even have anywhere near that. Like Justin and I were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
But one of the funny thing is that obviously Cliffy B was running his mouth talking shit on console gamers and the Xbox and this, that, and the other. And that's all whatever. That's just Cliffy B being a fucking dumbass because he is a fucking dumbass. Because he's got a fucking ego that's bigger than the earth. But part of the problem, one of the funny things is that they were doing a lot of sponsored streams on Twitch, right? and,
go on.
and so what happened was the sponsored streamers that they were doing weren't able to get games because there weren't enough people worldwide playing it. So the devs actually had to sign into their accounts to play the games with the sponsored streamers
honey.
because
Yeah.
like at one point, I forget what it was, like week 2, I think there were concurrent 18 players worldwide playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And yeah,
And like
So-
9, 8, 10 of them were paid streamers.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then they had an uptick, but then it's like, oh wait a minute, you look at the gamer tags, and these are all fucking employees of the fucking studio that made the game.
So sad.
Yeah.
And this is really stupid, but there are so many things, like I was saying, like it came out, it was supposed to be a free to play game, and then they changed to a paid model, and then they did all the stuff, and then Cliffy B was talking shit about console gamers and Xbox and this, that, and the other. And I mean, there's so many things you can attribute its failure to, but then there's the aspect of you launch this game, which is essentially the same thing as Overwatch.
Yeah.
Overwatch is this fucking juggernaut. It would be like somebody starting an MMO 6 months after WoW launched. You'd fucking get crushed. Like, because when WoW started, it fucking exploded and nobody gave a fuck about anything else. And it was that way for years and years and years. And that's what's going
It's still
on.
that way now. You've got anything like
Oh, yeah,
things
but
like
Right, but I'm saying though, it's like when Overwatch launched, it was that same thing. It's like nobody gives a fuck about that type of game in any other capacity because Overwatch is, it's the thing. It's the WoW of right now, And here's the problem though, is that they had to launch the game. They couldn't like they can't just sit on it for a year. They had to fucking get it out. That was something that they had to do. So they were damned if they do, and they were damned if they don't. But they kind of fucked themselves in so many other ways before it even got out. So it's just like, whatever,
So
Such
next
as-
one we'll mention, which was a Sony exclusive, and that was Horizon Zero Dawn. Now the heads of Sony were claiming the main character, Aloy, as her name is, could be an iconic character, possibly a mascot for the company, and the critics loved it as well. Going on about strong female character, yada yada yada. But you look at the gameplay, and it's essentially a third-person Far Cry with robot dinosaurs.
I've heard really good
Am I-
things about Horizon Zero Dawn, though.
Yeah, so have I.
That's
Right. Yeah.
am I being too cynical here, or was it genuinely a good game?
I
haven't
haven't played
really-
it, but
I haven't heard many negative things about it, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it falls more into that. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't fantastic. It was just kind of it's not a bad game. It's just kind of meh. Again, I've ignoring all the usual sort of game press, masturbation about strong female characters and the rest of it. It doesn't look like a bad game, but it's just kind of it's
But
there. It's a game.
I will give it props though, because it launched with no season pass.
Yeah.
And
No
they have
season
only
pass, I don't
just
think,
they've only just released bonus content for it because the game is a success, and fair play to them for doing that, because those sorts of games you want to see do well. I respect them very much for that, because these were the same folks that made the Killzone series, and I like those games. All right. So the next one, and this is a unique one, was Hellblade. Now, this was one that was done by Ninja Theory, but they didn't go through a publisher. They published it independently. The game
Oh, the
has
return to
got-
AA gaming.
yeah, and apparently the game is a financial success.
Yeah.
It won a
Critical
Hollywood
success
Awards.
apparently as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, but not everyone thought so, because once again, Jim
Oh, of
Sterling
course.
playing the game, he came across a bug which completely broke it for him. So he gave it
Was
a
it
1
being
out of
Jim
10.
Sterling?
No, well, he gave it a 1 out of 10. And
Really, one for a game-breaking bug? I mean,
Yeah.
Can I
Now-
do an
I
impression
understand,
of
but
Sterling?
yeah.
well, the problem was fans didn't take too kind to this, and he received an epic amount of shit for it.
As he
So
should.
he backtracked and deleted the original video.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Can I do an impression of Jim Sterling?
No.
Oh, go on.
Okay. Here's my impression of Jim Sterling.
I'm Jim Sterling. They sent me this game to play. And they didn't send me a big sandwich to eat with it. And I'm mad. And fat.
What are you doing?
You're wasted. You really are.
Yeah. No, look. What it was is Jim was just upset that it was, he had to spend the night out in the shed because it was the turn for his wife's boyfriend to come over.
Oh my god.
Oh, dang.
Look,
God.
you leave Deshaun alone. He's a good guy.
This group is savage.
This
Hey, look, that's by Jim's own admission. So it's not like I'm actually, he said it, not me.
Oh goodness.
Yeah,
And
well,
next
Jim
was,
Sterling says a lot of things that aren't true, so let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Plus, his wife looks like a Kirby. So
Oh,
all right. Let's get back on track.
you're not wrong.
All right.
But Kirby's adorable.
No,
So he's got
his
six
wife
kids
looks like
and
a
a fucking
Kirby
axe.
stuck to the front of a dirigible. I mean,
Oh,
let's continue. What was that?
I'm afraid to mention them anymore in case people just go off on about it. All right. So on to the next one then was Sonic Mania.
oh, it's fucking amazing, guys.
Now this was
the fan base.
returned-
Yeah, go on.
The return. This was essentially seen as a return to form for Sonic after the shit 3D versions. But then the PC version came out, and it was discovered that on release the game could not be played offline due to the DRM software. Sega were attacked for this and claimed that it was down to a bug in the patch, and a patch was released to fix it. But again, brilliant game.
Was it good?
Yeah,
no,
it's really good.
It was
Is it?
really
Oh,
good. The fan base, like the other thing is though, you had again the quote unquote games media just really didn't like it for no particular reason. It just became trendy to hate Sonic. So
Yeah.
you had a lot of fans who actually, no, this is actually a really good game. What the fuck? So again, you end up with the usual antagonism between people who actually play the games and people who write about them.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the problem with Games Press, though, is because like you have people like Jim Sterling and these other peoples that are more concerned with their cult of personality than they are with actually being a good reviewer. Because let's just be honest, everything Sterling does is to feed his fucking ego because he's a fucking insecure little bitch. He doesn't care about he doesn't care about
that's
games.
not just that's not just Jim Sterling though. That's pretty much most of the Games Press.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at. It's like, but
Yeah.
and granted, I have a bit of insight on it just because I fucking worked with him and knew this stuff. I've got a lot of behind the scenes information about him. So like, but this is the problem with a very good portion of games writers is that they don't give a fuck about games. They give a fuck about their follower counts on Twitter, how many fucking likes and retweets they get. They give a shit about that. That's what they care about. They care about metrics. They don't care about doing a good job. And that is the biggest problem with the games industry right now, or the games media industry, as it were.
Yeah.
People are concerned about their profile, their public profile, their cachet, their sway within their social circles and things like that. They don't give a fuck about games. Most of the people that fucking write about games don't want to be there in the first place. I mean, Leigh Alexander's a failed actress, and fucking I'm sure you can see me doing quotes, but fucking she didn't give a fuck about games. She's a fucking bully. She's a blowhard, and she got fucking sent out on a fucking rail because people got tired of her shit. She doesn't write about games anymore, and the majority of people in fucking writing about stuff don't fucking care about games. I mean, that's the least of their concerns. I mean, they care about games as a means to to put food in their mouth or to get into a party
Even
at a
then.
fucking event or something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even then, I don't even think it's about the financial thing because most of them, like, how many of them
Well,
are
yeah,
just
you're not making
they're
money.
getting paid like $30 a month or whatever. There was one guy said he was only getting paid like $30 a month to write for Destructoid. I'm like,
Well, yeah, I didn't get shit when I was there, dude.
Yeah,
They
so
still owe
they-
me money, actually, fucking dickheads. Anyway.
but yeah,
We'll get on to the next one because I want to get through these quickly because we've got a couple of others to talk about. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Now the game was loaded with pre-order DLC, which was amazingly overpriced, and also come along with an overpriced limited edition of the game. The character animations were particularly fucking bad, and even Capcom went one stage further to say that nobody would be allowed to run an online tournament, say over Twitch, without their written permission. And it was also noticed that the first character DLC was released quite quickly after launch, because the initial lineup was very, very bad. I mean, especially when you've got the likes of Captain Marvel in there.
On this DLC was and always shall be bullshit.
Yep.
Yep.
But yeah, that game did not go down very well. But then, of course, there's the one I really want to hear about, and that's, of course, Cuphead. Now, the game became infamous not for the game itself, because apparently it's brilliant, but for the footage that was shot by Dean Takahashi and how terrible he was at it, because he couldn't even master the tutorial.
When a genius smarter than you are.
Yeah. Ian Miles Chong criticised him quite strongly for it, and Takahashi countered by blaming Gamergate, as did Tim Schafer, of course.
I do think everybody kind of overreacted during that
for sure.
debacle.
Yeah,
for sure.
And Chong hit back, pointing out that in the past Takahashi had given the first Mass Effect a bad review because he didn't know how to level up, and also claiming that Warhammer 40,000 had ripped off Gears of War, and complained that XCOM 2 was too hard despite the difficulty settings.
Takahashi, he's like, what happens if you give a baby a fucking rocket to review? Like, I have no idea what it is, what it does, or how it works, but somehow he's giving it to review.
Yeah,
you know, it's like a gay dude rating a strip club. What the fuck is going on?
And then, of course,
it's like ostensibly he knows what's happening, but he doesn't get it.
Yeah. And then we had the likes of John Walker from Rock Paper Shotgun, who wrote a piece requesting the inclusion of skipping the boss battles for games like this.
Oh, God, I love that.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Now you read that
inspired were fantastic.
Oh,
yeah. No, to be fair, there is an option to do that for John. All he has to do is get a rope, tie it quite tightly up above him, jump.
Oh my God!
But
you know,
was that too dark?
Yeah, a little bit. But the game itself is brilliant.
I've locked up a ridiculous amount of hours and deaths in that game. It's I can't say that. You know, it's been played really well. I've only had a couple of crashes, and even then they were minor. I think the whole controversy around the Cuphead thing was it comes down to basic competency. Like, for example, can you imagine watching a car review on Top Gear where Clarkson can't get the thing in gear, he keeps stalling it, and you just watch 30 minutes of a functional retard trying to operate a machine that they clearly do not know how to operate, and then they turn around to the camera and go, yeah, this car's shit. It's clearly not the car.
The thing is, it's press 2 buttons, one after the other. Micah could manage that at 4.
Right. You know, I gotta agree with Molly though. I think people went a little bit too far with this. Honestly, I made a little video about it called "The Trial of Dean Takahashi," and if you look at Takahashi's work, if you look at what he's done over the years, there is a very strong argument about this guy's competency. He doesn't understand a great many things, but
he's been in the industry a long time.
He has.
If he were that bad, then something like this would have happened sooner.
Well, no, something like this has happened sooner. He's shown himself to be pretty incompetent throughout the years. But the problem is, though, is like when you take the very legitimate argument of competency and you turn it into maliciousness. And that was the thing I had a problem with. It's like, let's talk about this guy not being good at his job. That's fine. But let's not turn this into a fucking lynch mob. Let's not excoriate him via Twitter by, getting your followers to attack this person, Ian Miles Chung. Let's not do that. Let's have a real conversation about why what this guy is saying has a lack of value when it's shown as being like, it's like he is held up as an industry veteran and this and that and the other, and he's got respect, he's got cachet within that world. But let's actually look at what he's doing, let's dissect it, and let's see what's wrong with it. And there was a lot wrong with it. He obviously doesn't know the most basic game mechanics, but people giving him death threats, people going after him, fucking doxing him, doing all this other stuff. There is no fucking need for that. And that just muddies the water. He's bad at games. There's no denying that. But going after him personally, that was fucking ridiculous. It was stupid. It was petty. It was childish. And there was no fucking need for it whatsoever.
It makes everybody look bad. It was a cluster.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does.
And while I'm not condoning or condemning the death threats and stuff, but the thing is, I can understand the frustration and it getting that to that point, because, you know, pulling it apart and going, well, he's clearly incompetent at playing games, and trying to be nice about it. I mean, again, this has been going on for years and years and years.
Nobody
and years,
was being nice about it, though. That was the problem.
Well, people
jumped to shit real fast, dude. They jumped to shit almost immediately.
I think the thing is, people were being nice up until he then started hitting back by saying that they didn't know what they're talking about.
Not from what I saw. I saw like right out the gate, like, because I was keeping an eye on that from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, I don't doubt some people were doing.
Yeah. The majority of stuff that I was seeing, though, people were just outright, oh, you fucking asshole, you're a piece of shit, you don't know what you're talking about, And then he came back with a retort, oh, gamer gay, blah, 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 you know, whatever. He's insinuating these sorts of things. And then it fucking ramped up even more. But I mean, before that happened, though, it was still happening. Like, people were still coming at him with vitriol left and right.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those lightning rod moments. And the thing is, people are being nice about this all the time. It just gets them nowhere. And then you get episodes like this where everyone just vents bile and it all comes out. And people are just sick of it. It's going to happen again, right? Because we just keep seeing this shit over and over and over. And there's still this frustration. Again, it's this. There's almost no relationship between the games press and gamers at the moment, right? They're two separate entities now, right? Yeah. And the gaming community is so utterly frustrated with this mob that, you know, it's what else can they do? Again, I'm not condoning it, but I'm understanding where the frustration and bile is coming from.
Well, that's not even a new thing, though, Wombat. There's always been this. Well, and I don't want to say always, but at least for the last 10 to 15 years, there has been a gilded class, and whereas games writers or journalists or bloggers or whatever you want to call them have been very much a separate entity from the games public at large. There's been a great divide between that. And when Destructoid started, it started as a means to break that all down. And we were shit stirrers. We were causing a lot of fucking trouble back in the day when Destructoid first started. But then Nero fucking sold out, just plain and simply cashed the fuck out and bought in, and it turned into this, overnight, it literally changed overnight because there were some changes within the ownership and all this other kind of stuff. And Destructoid became just like the rest of the game's press, where there was this gilded class of this, you know, this upper echelon of you know, protected individuals that got special treatment and all this kind of stuff. And then there was the lowly gamers and the lowly, and this is another thing. Okay. All right, and just as an aside, real quick to illustrate what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I want to get back on topic.
Yeah, I was on GJP when that first started. All right, Game Journal Pros. I was on that way back in the day, and I left it because all they fucking did was talk shit about their communities. That's all they fucking did. It was just like, oh my god, I hate my community. There's so many assholes in this. I hate fucking gamers. Like, that was the constant refrain in the GJP mailer stuff, and I was just like, seriously? You fucking dickheads wouldn't be where you are without your fucking communities. These people built you. You fucking built on their backs these fucking sites, and they've done all this work, and you're just gonna spit in their fucking faces? Get the fuck out of here! I fucking hated it. I couldn't stand it.
The communities, the overwhelming response for the gaming community is like, well, if you don't like it, leave. Yet you're sitting here, treating the community that's, like crap. Yet go and do something else. We just want you to go away. We don't care where. Just go away.
They can't do what they want to do, and so
they're not good enough.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and or there's not enough space for them. That's another thing. It's like, I want to write about movies. Oh, you'd have nowhere to go because there's all these fucking movie sites are already filled with fucking million other people that want to do the same thing. So it's just like,
and so they then get quote unquote stuck in gaming.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, well, do you know what? Maybe go do something that you want to do for free and get a real job, motherfucker.
Yeah. I'm just like, go and help poor kids in the Philippines or something. Just go and do something else. I mean, that's what a lot of the community don't understand. If you're that miserable, like you're publicly just ripping on the community and you clearly don't want to be there doing it, then just go and do something else.
Right, like the guy the dude that was at the the Rock Band event, and like the fucking first 3 quarters of the fucking write up was like how much he hated being there and how he hates fucking music
Oh,
games.
God,
It's
yeah.
like,
why
then
be
get
there?
the fuck out, you fucking asshole. There's fucking a million other people who would love to be in your position. Get
Yeah.
the free ride to this party. Get in the
Shit,
play
I
the
don't even
game.
like Rock Band, and I'd fucking love it.
Yeah,
so-
saying, yeah.
Anyway.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
A little tangent.
yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of the games that have come out this year now have been featuring loot boxes and microtransactions. I'll go through some of the ones the more prominent ones that have come out. Of course, I think this is roughly
Well,
in
hang
order
on,
of how they come out.
Justin, sorry, just one we want to get to just before you get to that.
Yeah.
I just want to express how absolutely fucking disappointed I was with the new Wolfenstein game.
What?
You mean the new
Yeah,
Wolfenstein interactive movie?
Really? Colossal.
Yeah,
Colossus.
yeah. I was just in terms of gameplay, length of gameplay. There's a whole heap of shit I was disappointed with it about. Didn't like the story was kind of meh. There was more cutscene than gameplay.
Oh, come
You know,
on now. You're being hyperbolic. There's plenty of gameplay.
Again, compared to the first
Get the
one, it was a
fuck
real
out.
letdown.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll talk about that.
I
another
would
time.
strongly disagree. I would
But,
strongly disagree.
with regards to the games that featured microtransactions, one of the first ones of notice was For Honor. Of course, with
What?
our old friends Ubisoft. Yeah, they had microtransactions in there.
Wait, what game?
For Honor.
Oh, For Honor. I thought you
Yes.
said Verona. I was like, who
Oh,
the fuck
Yeah,
is
me too. I
Verona?
was like, "Oh, no."
I apologise. Beg your pardon.
Honor. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
You have to
Besides-
enunciate, Justin.
You're
Yeah.
you speak the language.
now the problems with the game, besides the campaign, of course, the multiplayer being so messy and the microtransactions, became too much for some, and about 95% of the game's audience dropped off after 3 months due to these issues.
Oh, was it even that long?
Yeah, it was that long.
Was it?
But,
No, I thought it was like a month and a
Yeah,
half.
apparently it was also unbalanced as hell.
Yes, it was.
That was another problem.
But the funniest part came with this when they staged a televised fighting event. Yeah, Scott knows what I'm going to say here. Yeah,
so
Scott,
good.
yeah, Scott knows about this one because the contest was won by a guy who went by the name of SP Alanakin, and he won the game using an exploit, which you see him do on the television screen. It was a move which
gosh.
bypassed the block of his opponent, and he gets
He
up
did
and
it-
goes
he
to
did
the
it
guy with the
live.
microphone. Yeah, he did it live on telly.
Live,
And when he
baby.
went to the guy with the microphone to be congratulated, the guy said to him, "Well done. How did you prepare for such a tough event?" And the guy said, "I didn't think it'd be that easy. I didn't play for 2 weeks." And
Oh my God.
yeah,
Wow.
and when he was given the trophy by the game's creative director, the guy said to him, "You better change your fighting style soon." To which SP said, "Don't patch it, don't patch it." Yeah. And then there's Destiny 2.
Hold on,
Microtransactions.
before you move
Yeah.
on to that though, this is it's so funny because of what happened was just fucking hilarious because it happened live. But the fact is, this is a constant and consistent problem with Ubisoft. They release games that aren't finished. They release games that are a buggy goddamn mess constantly.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is too, it's like they basically have like 3 or 4 templates, and they just keep using these 3 or 4 templates. And for some reason, every year when they release the same game with a new skin, they still haven't ironed out the bugs from the previous years, and it is almost exactly the same fucking game. It's like,
Yeah,
how
it's like the old joke, isn't it? It's like the old joke, isn't it? Why is EA the worst company in America? Because Ubisoft is in France.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. Anyway,
But,
the next one was, of course, Destiny 2, which of course had microtransactions from the start. But again, that wasn't the worst thing about it. The color shades, which were permanent use in the first game, were single use in the second. But what drew the ire of PC gamers, a lot of them were being permanently banned from the game, some before they even reached the menu screen. And this was down to the use of overlay programs such as Discord, OBS, and even Nvidia Shadowplay. But
I want to step in on this one from a technical point of view. Essentially, what it was Destiny, they were being cheap with the servers. They didn't want to run fully fledged servers. So what they were trying to do with this study, for intents purposes, I'm going to call a watchdog program, in that they were basically trying to prevent against hacks. In doing so, they were far too strict, and they were trying to treat PCs like consoles. And hence why it went. You know, the fact that they didn't beta test that before they released it is just absolutely criminal.
Yeah.
But then they've had to turn their watchdog sensitivity down. They're going to have to keep doing that to the point where people are going to start exploiting it. So
of course, the funny thing was though, Nvidia Shadowplay was actually partnered with Bungie, and apparently after launch, the console version lost around 2 million players, according to a statistic, released online. And after that news hit, no, I don't know why. I think it's probably because they completed everything pretty quickly.
Because the game's the exact same fucking game as the first one. There's nothing different about it. I mean, it's a new storyline, but it's just like it's the same boring fucking slog of a game.
Yes,
there's nothing there. It sucks.
The developers were also caught out. It was revealed afterwards that the XP gain slowed down the more gamers played it, thanks to a hidden program.
They throttled it, yeah.
They throttled it. But here's the thing, right? People are. It was ridiculous the way I did it. I wonder if Activision just needs to walk across the hallway and talk to the guys at Blizzard, because WoW has this mechanic, but they're open and honest about it. They're saying, yeah, you're going to have XP caps, because the whole controversy was, well, if you're doing daily quests to get all this stuff, it got slowed down and eventually just became diminishing returns. Now they have that mechanic in WoW for dailies, but they're open and honest about it. So I think the gamers were more pissed off that they were doing it in the background and not telling anyone.
Right. Oh, when they were called on it initially, I think they balked at it. They're like, "Oh no, everything's fine here."
Yeah, and then people published the stats and done the maths and just going, no.
It's like, not so much, friend. Yeah.
And of course, the next one was Forza 7. That was one where such modes as nighttime driving and driver assist were once options in the previous ones were now locked behind a paywall, only obtainable by loot crates. They even introduced a VIP pass, which promised exclusive cars and all that. But then were caught out when they made changes to it seemingly on the sly, but people noticed it. That was a very disappointing one to see. Yeah. But then there was NBA 2K18. The game had the credit. Yeah, the game had a credit system where they obviously buy with real money, similar to that of a mobile phone. And when you look at the packages it showed, the top package labelled as the best value was $99. Now, this was a bit of good journalism that needs to be praised here, because the website The Sixth Axis and the reviewer who wrote the review, Aran Sudi, took a very strong approach and gave it a 3 out of 10. And the game is 2K, beg your pardon, complained about the score, claiming it was a protest score, which caused it to be temporarily taken down, but later reinstated after NeoGAF users kicked up a stink about it.
Well, didn't they also do the math on it, find out that you'd have to spend something like $1,500 to get to unlock everything or so? I forget. I
forget now.
It may have been one of the other. It may have been Battlefront or one of the other.
No, I think that was. I saw one. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's that one or Battlefront 2 where they calculated what it would cost.
Yeah, they did for Battlefront 2.
Yeah, it was Battlefront 2, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
And of course, then there was Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor 2 or Shadow of War, whichever it is. Loot boxes from the start, and even a pack called Act 1 Starter Bundle as an attempt to push them on people.
Right. But you know what's great about that, though? Did you see that? You know who Oliver Campbell is, right?
Yes, I did. He played through it without using loot boxes, didn't he?
Yeah. I was just like, that's fucking grand. Fucking cheers, mate. You know, he's just like, oh, you got to play with loot boxes? Yeah, let's see about that.
Yeah. But what pissed people off about that game was the pre-order DLC of the character based on the developer who died of cancer.
That was a dick move.
Well, and the criticism grew so strong. At Warner Brothers. I'm losing my words now. That it was made free and refunds were offered to those who purchased it.
Yeah, they walked it back eventually.
Yeah.
That's kind of sucky that they fucking had to be pressured into that. It's like, oh, come on, man. Really?
Right.
Yeah,
that's some shady shit right there. That sucks.
But then, of course,
if you're gonna do an homage, like, I mean, you know, like WoW has done that over the years. Like when people have died, like when Robin Williams died, they put character his in the game, and they didn't make people pay for that. I mean,
they've done that multiple times. They've had. I mean, even as much as we shit on Randy Pitchford, they even had a thing where they had a fan.
Yeah,
Borderlands 2, and they had
he shows up every now and again and gives you a gun.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
see that? Yeah, exactly. Randy Pitchford did one thing right. Who knows if he was even responsible for it? But
good job.
I'll give you that one.
Now we'll get to the one that I know of to talk about, and that's of course Battlefront 2. This was bad. This was one of the biggest.
When EA fucks up so bad that every other gaming company is reviewing whether they continue with loot boxes or not.
Yeah. We'll approach this in two perspectives. First of all, the campaign, which apparently was 3-4 hours long and very, very bad.
I got 5.5 out of it. It was 5.5.
I was told 4 hours on regular mode.
If you push through, well, I played on regular and I got through 5.5.
Yeah,
But
there was an interesting thing about this because the campaign was co-written, I beg your pardon, by Mitch Dyer. Anyone know who he is?
Oh,
No.
yes.
I know it's Madam Mombot. That's all I know.
No,
he was a former IGN dev. Beg your pardon, reviewer. And he reviewed the first Battlefront for IGN. The video is still on YouTube. And he gave it an 8 out of 10. And he glossed over many of the big issues people had with the game, such as the overpriced season pass and whatnot. And he's now writing number 2. IGN reviewed the second one, which they didn't point out he used to work for him in the review. But when they described the story, they used the words, where is it? Saying the story was rushed, a mess, disjointed, predictable, paper thin, and scatterbrained.
Yes.
Oh, damn. Yeah, and they ended up giving it a 6.5, which fair play to them for doing so. And now, of course, when it comes to the multiplayer, well, have at it.
Yeah, people have also pointed out that he turned up in one of the Nita's male ally videos. So
yeah, I think that was
Look, it's that when you completely shit the bed so hard that you have multiple international governments looking at whether they need to regulate the crap out of loot boxes, you've done something really wrong.
Yep. Yeah. Because as it was calculated, it would take over 4,000 hours gameplay.
$2,200
or $2,100, I think it was.
I just love all the memes that have come out of that.
Oh yeah.
Well, we want to give a challenge for the players to strive for
the challenge is 2 months fucking wages.
I happen to love what happened where the backlash was so strong. The CEO of Disney, the top tier, picked up the phone. And I would love to have heard that phone call between the CEO of Disney and the CEO of EA. 3 hours later, the microtransactions get shut down.
Yep.
Yeah.
He came in and went, I am really not very happy. And then,
because they have the movie coming out in 2 weeks now, and they can't hold this kind of bad press.
You don't need negative publicity when that sort of thing's around the corner.
Exactly.
But the thing is, the damage was done because EA lost over $3 billion in stock value. And the Metacritic rating, last time I looked, sits at 0.8, which is the lowest I have ever seen a game on that side.
You know what the problem is, though, too? The game is actually fun. The game is actually, I like it. I hated the first one. The first one was a fucking bloody goddamn mess because, I played the betas and the alphas on both console and PC, right?
Yeah.
And those are supposed to be a time where they actually start tweaking things and changing things and fixing things, right? And from the alpha on to the full release, they didn't change a goddamn thing. Nothing changed. There was this huge problem with spawn camping where you could get one of the power-ups and you get into an ATST, right? And you could literally just sit there and stand above the spawn and just shoot people as they spawned out. You could it was fucking game breaking. It was ridiculous. And that never changed. It was and you could do that just throughout the entire game. It was a fucking mess. And in the second game, the game is actually fucking fun. I have to admit it. I enjoy it. I like it.
Now, to paraphrase everyone's favorite intellectual cartoon, though, no one cares how fun your game is when you're fucking us for $2,000.
Well, there you go. Then there's that dynamic of it. Yeah, it's like.
I just also find it funny that apparently there's, and these are if rumors are to be believed, that Disney's seriously reviewing the exclusive agreement that EA has for doing Star Wars IP.
So I don't know if they're actually doing it or not, but somebody found it within the contracts. They were looking at the contractual agreements that Disney put out in there if they were not representing the IP correctly, that they could pull the IP from them. So.
But we'll finish off the gaming review so we get to the final topic. There were some good remasters that came out this year as well, specifically on PC. First of all, Vanquish finally saw the light of day on PC, and it's an excellent version at a decent price as well. Blizzard remastered the original StarCraft again at a
And
decent price.
And they've actually a decent price now is the original StarCraft. I think they're making it free.
Good.
Because I know they're making StarCraft 2 free. They announced that at BlizzCon, where basically I think Blizzard's done the maths and RTSs are sort of not making them as much money. So it's the StarCraft stuff. They've gone, you know what, bugger it, we're just going to make it free. It's paid for itself more than enough. So.
And then there was the release of the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. And this received an amusing response from the game journalists who claimed it was very, very hard. In particular, Peter Brown of GameSpot, who gave the game a 6 out of 10, citing the difficulty spikes. But it turned out in reality he had only played about halfway through each game.
Of course.
And was
he was back to this again.
Back to this again, yeah.
Jim Sterling. Okay, cool.
Yeah. But then there was the re-release of Bulletstorm, the full clip edition, which had Gearbox's grubby little hands all over it. Now, they were charging almost full price for this, and even added a pre-order DLC, which the main character's voice is replaced by voice and character is replaced by Duke Nukem, and they even partnered with G2A for the launch.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They did the G2A thing. I forgot all about that.
Which they were literally raked over the coals for. And even Biscuit once again piped up and said he would be boycotting their future releases, which they dropped the partnership pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think that took less than a week when people found out about that. They're like,
yeah, that's right.
Like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Oh, so we're not having this. See, that's another great example of, people speaking up and fucking letting their wallets do the talking. It's like,
yeah, I mean, I was pissed off because I was a massive Bulletstorm fan when it came out, and I wanted to buy it again. But it's like, no, I'm not touching that now. This is less than half price. I just simply won't go near it.
Yeah.
All right, so the final topic now, and I know we're gonna have some fun with this. The last time we talked was obviously we mentioned the anti-GG crowd who had been caught out as hypocritical sex pests. Yeah. We had a long list. Yeah. Well, bear with me then. First of all, we had an update on a couple of them. First being Devon Farasi, who apparently
Cheap Saddam.
Sorry,
Cheap Saddam Hussein. Devon Farasi.
Yeah. No, he was described by the Alamo Draft House, ATX's Tim League, as being gone through a long recovery of substance abuse, etc. He was re-employed by the company. Yeah.
Oh, no. He wasn't re-employed. They never actually let him go in the first place. They just kept it on the hush.
They shuffled him around.
Yeah, he was given. They did a Captain Priest thing where they moved him to a different parish, basically.
Yeah, it was copywriting work, and League stated Farasi did not hold any kind of leadership within the company. But this didn't go down well. Todd Brown, the company's director of international programming, resigned in response. Good. And even the lady who had accused him to begin with tweeted her bemusement about it. And in the end, the move proved too much, and Farasi agreed that he had to go. And then there's Matt Hickey, who had a fourth rape charge added to his list of charges, and and he was fined $332,000 for the fake porn scam.
Dude.
And last I heard, he was still in prison. But just when you thought it was safe to go back to gaming, there were more revealed.
There were so many more.
Much more than last time. I think 17 I've got here.
Oh my God.
Wow, was it that many? I knew it had been a lot, but geez.
First of all, there was Glenn Fleischman, if I'm saying his name right, who had once called GG an abusive hate movement. He was called out by a couple of young women after he had went to lengths in emails to point out he and his wife were polyamorous.
Oh, I remember that.
Now, he defended the emails, saying that it was in part to put the women at ease. But you read the emails, and there is no reason.
No, that's how you put women at ease.
Never discussing your relationship status in a professional or like work setting is never going to put anybody at ease.
Hey Nicole,
that's fine.
I'm polyamorous. You feeling better right now?
Yeah. Don't worry, Scott's wife won't mind when you stick your finger up his butt.
Now,
that's how you put women at ease.
I read one of the emails because it was put in the story. Reason for him to say it just doesn't belong there at all. And you look and think, nah, dude, I know what you were trying to do.
That's clearly no, it's okay, my wife approves.
And then of course there was, if I'm saying his name here, Juan M. Thompson, who labeled Gamergate as online misogyny. They're later arrested by the FBI for harassment, cyber stalking, and making death threats against his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. And then we had Jamie Kilstein, the co-host of Citizen Radio. Yeah.
Dude.
After claiming Gigi was about sexism, not ethics, he was forced to resign from his job after various allegations of sexual misconduct from multiple women.
Okay,
his wife. Let me get on this one.
Okay, let me get on this one real quick. Jamie Kilstein. All right. This is all right. Holy shit, dude. All right. Jamie Kilstein, he was vegan, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And apparently being accused of being a sex pest was enough to make him stop being vegan and starting eating meat.
What?
And he was on Joe Rogan and he was talking about this. He's like, he was so upset by being labeled a sex pest, he started eating meat again. And I'm like,
how are those two related?
I'm like, look, I've been a vegetarian and sometimes vegan since I was 11 years old. I'm 44 now, for a fucking long fucking time. And I've never been accused of something and been like, well, shit, somebody said I'm a bad person. I better start eating meat again. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck kind of retard is this guy?
Yeah.
Like,
now,
how do those things even connect? How are they even like?
I don't know.
What does one have to do with the other? Oh my god! It just drives me crazy because it's what that does to me. That shows a fucking lack of character in this person, and it makes anything else he says spurious beyond belief. It's like if I'm hearing anything else, so based on just that bit of information, it's like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So what you're saying now, I don't think I can really. I got to take it all with a grain of salt. You know, it's
to be fair for him for a moment, he did defend himself on the Rogan podcast and say that the accusations weren't true. But at the same time, he also admitted that his own words bit him in the ass because he had constantly said believe women, and now he's saying, "Oh wait, don't believe women." Yeah,
I feel like that happens a lot these days.
It does indeed.
So weird, right?
And then, of course, there was former NeoGAF moderator Christopher John Goldberg, after accusing Gamergate of sexism and racism, was arrested for possession of child porn.
Imagine that.
Right.
NeoGAF was very quick to. Yeah, NeoGAF quickly pointed out that he had not been a mod for the better part of a decade, and his real name wasn't even on file before they shut down the thread about this. The post writer Tyler Molker, which will come up later, left out that he'd been aware of the guy's real name and had even donated $1,000 to his GoFundMe that he'd run a long time ago.
There's a reason everyone jokingly called NeoGAF pedogaf back in the day because there was a ridiculous number of threads of pedophile apologists.
Yes, they weren't joking, man.
No,
it's not a fucking joke.
And then we had a smaller one, which was Wings Over Scotland blogger Stuart Campbell, who once called Gigi the lowest of the low. He was arrested after harassing a woman who lived in South London for a 2-year period.
It just keeps going.
Yeah. He was released on bail, and the investigation is ongoing. This next one I've got give a little bit of sympathy to, which was, of course, Phil Robinson, formerly of Polygon. He was called out for sexual harassment or alleged sexual harassment against another game journalist, and I think this one's a bit unfair to the guy. He looked like a bit of what do I say here?
Awkward workplace flirting that went wrong.
Yeah, that went wrong, and he was actually hounded out of his job for it.
No. There's harassment. You have to believe women.
Yeah, no, but when you read the text and stuff between them, like,
oh no, I know.
Yeah,
you see the stuff. Yeah, no, I agree with Justin. This is a little bit.
Yeah, this was unfair. But as much as I want to go, haha, Polygon riot, I can't because I think he was unfairly done here.
No, this is haha. You've put down all these rat traps, and now your foot's got fucking clamped off.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the situation where it's like, oh, if he was a good-looking dude, then it would have been a different story. But he's not exactly a good-looking dude, and the girl was kind of like, I think she got it in her head, maybe. Like, again, it's like I can't ascribe, their actual intent and the things that they're thinking. But from when you look at it, from what you can see with the available information, it kind of looks like, oh, if he was a hot guy, she wouldn't have, it would have been a little bit different.
Would have reacted differently, but it's
just kind of.
I've got to be fair to him. I think he was stitched up, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and the next one was, of course, Josh fucking Whedon. After comparing GG to the KKK, he was outed by his ex-wife as being a serial cheat during their marriage, whilst hiding behind feminism. Now, Whedon responded saying he wouldn't comment out of concern for his children and ex-wife.
Wait. That's the thing I love. It's like, how does this concern his children?
Exactly.
Oh, wait, it doesn't. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
shield. You're using a fucking shield. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. We way to
Yeah.
fucking have a backbone. You fucking.
What disturbs me though is people brought up
you.
people brought up interviews with was it Eliza Dushku back in the day when she was doing Buffy and Dollhouse,
Yeah.
right? And then reading those in that context, it just made even creepier,
Yeah.
right? She was
Yeah.
not a mentally well girl at the time, and yeah, it was just ugh, yuck. You need a shower after
Fuck
reading it.
Joss
Yeah.
Whedon, dude. Seriously.
There was this
Now, of
fake
course-
tweet floating around that was like Joss Whedon's going to direct Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and the original cast is going to return. And someone sent that to me, and I was like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
See, I like the one with Joss Whedon's directing Batgirl, and the bad guy's going to be, I think, like a footmonger or something, and she has to fight barefoot the
Hang
entire
on,
time.
someone else explain this to
Yeah.
me. Where's the foot fetish thing come from? I thought that was Tarantino.
Yeah, as well.
Well,
Yeah,
apparently a
everything
lot of
Joss Whedon does, there's
I
a
think the
decade-
Joss Whedon script for Wonder Woman got leaked, and
yeah.
apparently there's
It's
some
bad.
kind of barefoot fetishy kind of stuff in there.
Seriously though, right? Go back and just watch Buffy and Dollhouse and all the rest of them, and you will see there is always just random feet everywhere. Like you didn't notice it before, but just watch and you will see it, and
Now I
then you will
can't
cry.
unsee, yeah.
Now, of course, soon
Like the
after this,
creepy guy who does all the Nickelodeon stuff, who does the same thing. Ugh.
Yeah.
now,
Oh, God,
shortly
yeah.
after the allegation was made, the website Whedon-esque, which was dedicated to his work, shut down. The owner claimed she'd been toying with the idea for about 15 years.
Sure,
The
for about
timing
10
For
was-
about
minutes
15
before-
seconds.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
timing
For about 10
was
minutes.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Then there
About
was
10 minutes after she fucking
Yeah.
heard the story. Yeah. Gotcha.
Then there was
See you there,
Harry
friend.
Knowles of Ain't It Cool News, and also Draft Alamo, which had employed Ferrasi.
Okay, if
and
you've
that-
ever seen that dude, I could believe that.
Yeah.
So,
Now,
but-
also a known Gigi, he was outed by a lady who attended an event with him back in early 2000, in which
Yeah.
he groped her a couple of times and later giggled about it when he was confronted.
I don't doubt that one bit.
Yeah.
No,
And
yeah.
he's definitely the kind of dude you look at. Oh,
Yeah.
that guy pays for sex. Absolutely.
And then you look, there was another one, which was Andy Senior, the creator of Honest Trailers.
Ooh, that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Now,
That was
after-
kind of, Schadenfreude-esque. It was delicious.
Yeah. Now, after
Just to
he
pick
took a
up on
dig,
something here, though, Scott, we all pay for sex. We just pay for it in different ways.
Well, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
now, oh fucking hell! After he had taken a dig at Gigi in the Wreck-It Ralph trailer, he was accused of sexual harassment by a woman and was fired by Screen Junkies shortly after that. And he's been
Goodness.
made quiet on Twitter ever since.
Imagine
Now, this one was pretty bad. The next was journalist Michael Hafford, who had took great delight in reporting Quinn's book that was apparently being made into a film. He had a lot of allegations brought against him of not only raping women, but physically assaulting them as well. And
Shit.
there was photographic evidence to back this up.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I've seen the
Dude.
pictures, and they are bad. Bruised faces, you name it.
Right.
Mm.
Have you read the thing that he wrote about Quinn's book?
Oh no.
Holy shit. He was writing a fucking love letter to Quinn. He
Ugh, creepy.
he said everything shy of please God, will you fuck me in that fucking write-up. Like it's just he is so cloying and so fucking disgusting. Like, oh my god, it's masterpiece, blah, 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 blah. You know, just he just wants to fuck her so bad.
Mm.
And
Why
it's-
though?
Yeah.
I know because he likes venereal diseases. That's why. Oh, come on.
Now,
I
after
wouldn't fuck her with Jim Sterling's dick. Ugh.
right, and then of course, after the Weinstein scandal broke, there were more names released. First off was Sam Criss, who was a contributor to Vice. A woman accused him of sexual harassment after a night out, and Vice cut all ties with him shortly afterwards. And I think he was even kicked out of the Labour Party, which he represented, for his actions. Then there was Rupert Myers, the reporter for GQ, The Guardian, and The Telegraph. A female journalist told of when, after putting up with his unwanted advances on a night out, she said to him she just wanted to be friends. And he replied, "I've got enough friends, I'd rather fuck you." Yeah, and then forced himself on her. Yeah, and then forced himself
Holy
on her outside of the
shit.
pub.
See, that's uncool. That's
Yeah, now
messed up.
he apologized to the journalist privately, apparently, and then deleted his Twitter, but it didn't stop him being.
Oh yeah,
fired
that
from
makes it
GQ.
fine. As long as
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
sorry afterwards, it doesn't count.
Yeah, I was forgiven.
Oh,
Did
oh,
I
that's
rape
nice
you?
of
Oh,
you.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
we're good.
That's cool. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
cool,
my
right?
bad.
Everything's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. There you go. Oh, my bad. I raped you. Sorry. You know, we're cool, right?
No, that
Yeah.
works with me, Justin, though.
And then we had Lockhart Steele, which sounds like a name from a Final Fantasy game. He was the editorial director for Vox Media, as well as editorial director for Gorka, and apparently worked with Polygon.
Oh, you see
He
Vox, just a quick aside, you see Vox, this thing, they basically got rid of the open bar at their work
Yep.
function because
Yep.
they're afraid of
Oh,
sexual
right.
assault.
Yeah, which is kind of
Yeah,
ridiculous.
because if you have a few drinks, you suddenly get really rapey. No,
Yeah.
that's just the Vox.
Yeah.
Now, he was also fired
Here.
after the allegations of sexual misconduct were put against him. Who else was there? Then there was Tyler Malker of NeoGAF.
Oh,
He was accused of sexual assault by a woman he'd gone out drinking with, who claimed he got into the shower with her completely uninvited.
mhm.
Who thinks this kind of stuff is a good idea?
Yeah, I
Who
know.
does this?
I mean, it
Malka
seems
did-
like these people are everywhere, so you would think that each one of us would know somebody like this, but I mean, unless I've got people
I
in my
hope
life who
not.
were really good at keeping these secrets, I don't know anybody like this.
I
Like, I
actually
feel like
do.
the people that do that kind of stuff, you're like, whoa, that's creepy, and you like distance yourself immediately. You know,
Actually, that's
you
what I
don't
did.
stick around.
I know this kid. He was a date rapist. I fucking dipped the fuck out on this fucking guy.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we're not
and
using-
that was always the meme that went round is like, yeah, guys don't like male feminists, not because, you know, the whole feminism thing is male feminists are inherently creepy, rapey, and we don't want anything to do with them for
Yeah.
this reason. Yeah,
Now, to be
No,
fair
I don't
to
like male
Malka,
feminists because they're feminists also. But that
Yeah.
reason.
yeah, but it's also it's a bit of both.
Now-
Yeah,
A little
to
bit,
be
yeah,
fair
a little
to Malka,
column A, column B, you know.
to be fair to Malka, he did deny the allegations.
Well, hey, my bad,
but-
right? We're cool.
Yeah, but
There you go.
again, the damage was done because many of the mods left the site as well as the users. Because the reputation basically shot to shit at that point.
And then it shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then,
Oh,
and then
no.
there was
The tracking mode went off, Tyler. How terrible.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then there was the film cinematographer who went by the name of Shane Vader, which is obviously false. Who after they'd
That's
gone
not his
after
real name?
no, apparently not. I don't think it is anyway. I don't believe it is. This was a guy who had gone after Whedon and also Phil Robinson for their allegations, as well as his critical attacks on Gigi.
Right.
He was revealed to be a registered sex offender who collected child porn, apparently.
Imagine
Ugh.
that.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
now-
Good
Yeah.
lord.
Yeah, he offered an
This
apology.
is my
for his
shocked
past.
face right now.
Yeah.
You see my avatar? That's my
Imagine
shocked
my
face.
shock.
Yeah. Now he offered an apology for his past on Twitter, but again, damage was done. The owner of the apartment he was living in kicked
yeah,
him out.
that's not something you apologize for. Oh yeah, look, I'm a creepy kid, you know, a fan of kiddie fiddler porn. I'm sorry. I'm like, no, there's just no sorry for that.
Yeah, yeah.
No, he can apologize for it if he writes a note in his own blood before he kills himself.
But Wombat, he said
Even then.
my bad. He said my bad. You know,
Yeah.
everything's cool.
It doesn't count anymore.
Yeah, it's
So
cool.
kind of hardline on the whole kiddie porn thing, you know.
And another one was Francisco van Joel, editor-in-chief of Dupe NL, with a Netherlands Kotaku site, basically. He was attacked after going after Gigi as well. He was called out by a 23-year-old lady after he attempted to rape her in a hotel room.
Jesus Christ.
He apologized publicly, as you do. But
Did he take
apparently-
to rehab shortly thereafter? Because that seems to be the thing.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything else on the updates for that, so I don't know. But obviously, it's not looking good for him.
No,
Right.
like
Uh,
you know,
no-
I'm sorry I deeply scarred your psyche, but I'm sure you'll be fine if I say sorry on Twitter.
Yeah. And the final one, which was outed, was the ex-IGN writer Vincent, if I'm saying his name right, Ingenito, who
I
had
think you
sexual,
are saying that right.
okay, who had sexual harassment claims leveled against him by a former staff member, Callie Plague. If I'm saying her name
Yeah,
right.
yeah, plague.
Now, I'm going to be fair to him here. I think this was a case of mixed signals.
Yeah, honestly,
yeah,
this one
that
is
was the
kind
other
of.
one.
I am really conflicted about this one because if you
Yeah.
read his side of the story, it actually does sound like it may have just been him being a little too friendly and her misinterpreting it.
Mm.
And
Now,
some of her complaints were a little bit ridiculous. Like, oh, after I complained, he would still talk to me about work things and sit near me. And I'm thinking,
Right.
Yeah,
are
that happens
seriously?
when you're vocal next to somebody. Yeah.
yeah. Now,
like, what do you expect him to do exactly?
yeah. I mean, the IGN staff staged a protest, refusing to work for a day and putting out a statement about this, which basically came across as listen and believe.
Mm.
But again, I think this guy was done unfairly by the court of public opinion.
Oh, for sure.
I've read about it. Yeah.
Well, and you know what? That's the thing, though. Now is that if something goes wrong, you don't call the police. You don't do anything like that. You fucking excoriate them in the court of public opinion, because that's going to get you an immediate, tangible result. Because you will have these people that buy into the whole listen and believe thing, that will fucking have your back regardless of the facts of the matter, because they don't care. It's just they just, oh wait, you're a feminist? I got your back. We're there for you. Everything you say is
see also what's happening in the Magic community.
Yeah, I mean, that is like one of these huge problems. It's like, and to bring up like what happened with Kevin Spacey, right?
Yeah.
Just to, as an aside, but I mean, it's sort of the same kind of thing. It's like people were just like, oh, he's the worst person ever, and I'm like, dude, just chill the fuck out. Wait till we find out what happens. That's kind of always been the way I operate. It's like, it's great that you're telling me these things, but until you give me some facts that prove what you're saying, I'm going to remain as neutral as possible about these kind of situations.
I'm with Scott. My first response to hearing any allegation is police report or get the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, give me some tangible evidence, not just hearsay, not just your friend told you this, that they heard there in the fucking Chinese whispers thing or whatever you want to call it. Give me
strongly enough about it. File a police report, and then I'll take you seriously.
Yeah, and that's the problem, though. People don't do that. They go to the court of public opinion because they know that they can fucking get people's jobs taken from them just on the allegation alone. And we're seeing that time and time again, where people there's, oh God, I'm not going to go into it right now because I could talk all night about this kind of shit. But this sort of thing happens all the time, and you see people lose their fucking life's blood. They lose their jobs. They lose their places in society because the taint of just the allegation alone is enough to get people to fucking just be like, oh, I can't go anywhere near you because I don't want to be associated with the fucking bad things people are saying about you, regardless of the truth of the matter.
Now,
it's fucking disgusting.
In the interest of fairness, then, we do have to talk about the events this year surrounding Yiannopoulos. There's a ton to go through here. I mean, the stories going around about the privilege grant, the appearance on the Bill Maher show.
They finally pulled together.
Look, the privilege grant, again, I'm thinking that's probably going to be a separate thing, and we'll probably want to bring Margaret McClellan.
Well, I did reach out to her to get her take on the story, but she never replied. So,
can I just say, I just want to go on record as saying, well, I went on record when this first was announced. I was like, this is not going to end well. I said that from the very beginning. I was just like, this is sketchy as fuck. Don't believe it. And I just want to say thank you. I'll accept my reward.
Did it surprise anyone that a bunch of scummy people ended up being scumbags? No?
I know, right?
Now, of course, there was also the fact that the promised Gamergate book he was writing never appeared.
Yeah, he felt like, I think, one chapter in his own autobiography or whatever the fuck he did, and it wasn't even...
I'm getting to that because I have listened to that for the sake of this stream. And of course, obviously, hear me out. Now, after the comments he made about relationships between boys and men came to light, he was obviously forced to resign from Breitbart, and he lost his publishing deal with Simon & Schuster. Now, the book I wanted to see what it was in it, just my own curiosity and for the sake of the stream. So I listened to the audiobook version because the price he was charging for the hardback was a rip-off, if I'm bluntly honest.
Wow, really? That surprises me so much.
Yeah. And I will be fair to him and say that in places the book is entertaining, but
I also read it. Yeah, it's basically him plagiarizing himself. Like, it's the same stuff we've already read, whether it's on Breitbart or somewhere else. It's something you've already read over the past 2 years.
Yeah. Now, what he didn't talk about was, of course, what happened with him having to leave Breitbart. The whole thing with the privilege grant is glossed over completely, and Gamergate is only given a handful of mentions and a half what I think was a chapter. He doesn't even talk about his appearance at the SPJ.
Wow.
Yeah, and the audiobook itself, I'll give you an idea because I listen to audiobooks quite regularly. A regular sized one is about 8, 9, maybe 10 hours long. His was 6.5.
Yeah, it's an easy read. You can read it in like 1 or 2 days.
Yeah. Now, I can look at this one with just utter disappointment because this was a guy that just bought himself down because he couldn't keep his gob shut. And one thing my dad said to me a long time ago is if you piss off too many people too quickly, like he did, somebody will come for you eventually. And the audio recordings of those silly comments he made, that was it.
Well, I think Nicole nailed it. Like, are you surprised that scummy people did scummy things and then got caught doing scummy things? It's just like, it's like, again, this is like, I remember when he fucking popped up, I was just like, don't fucking trust it, man. I was like, fucking, Flavor Flav said it back in the day, and Public Enemy fucking can't trust it. And I didn't fucking trust that motherfucker for a second, dude. That dude's fucking sketch as fuck. I mean, you can't look at that guy and be like, oh no, he's totally up and up.
Totally on the up and up. It's fine.
Yeah, for sure. No, I trust him with my kids. Yeah, no. I don't think so, friend. See you there.
He did sue Simon and Schuster, because obviously he felt
his own fall from grace.
Yeah, because as he put in an interview, one day the script for the book was great, and then suddenly it wasn't. Apparently, he has got through the first round of his trial with them, so that's at this point of recording anyway. So who knows where it will go from here onwards?
We'll have to just have a look next year once the legal process has done its thing and see what what the result is.
There you go. Yeah.
Next year's topic, write it down.
Yeah, but it follows kind of a funny trend also, because I bought Lauren Southern's book to see what she'd put in that.
Oh no,
Why?
dude,
Right.
that was yeah.
Right, a curiosity that bit me on the arse, because the book was 90 pages.
Yeah, it's just like a really long essay, and it's not even good.
Yeah,
Oh wait, and this is the book that she thinks like makes her an author now.
Yeah, it's essentially a pamphlet. So I'm going to be very, very careful with doing this sort of thing in the future. But the funny thing is, they even have the same kind of cover design, the black and white sort of picture with a bit of color. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair though, the only good thing about Lauren is her older sister.
Who's her older sister?
I'm on that.
Have you not seen the pictures?
Yeah, I've seen the pictures.
Give me a link.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm curious.
Oh, dude, I'll tweet it to you.
Yeah.
Lauren Southern's hot sister.
Yeah, actually, I'm sure
Lauren
that'll bring
Southern
something up.
into Google and it'll come up. It's her older sister too. That's what shocked me.
Yeah, because
this
she's
is
Lauren's pretty young.
This is of course.
She got a booming ass.
22.
same.
Yeah. But this was a
Go,
classic
girl.
Fall from Grace, I think. That's essentially was a guy who just didn't
I
want to
thought
shut
Lauren's book was a coloring book. Oh my god.
up.
Oh dang, I like that.
So yeah, this one was just so disappointing because it was a guy that essentially shot himself in the foot because he couldn't keep his gob shut.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Cult of
Surprise,
personality, dude. Yeah. Yeah. Shocking, right? Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I just kind of feel sorry for him because I think, based on what he said, he probably was abused when he was a tween, and he probably he really seems like he needs professional help, and I don't think he needs a platform right now, and he. I don't know. Like, that's just my long way of saying that I feel sorry for him more than I feel just disgusted or hate.
Yeah, no, he's not a balanced person in that regard. And yeah, if everything.
Yeah,
He has launched his own website now, dangerous.com, I believe.
Well,
he's trying to make a comeback, but with something like this, you need to wait at least a year, and he waited 6 months.
Well, he's
Not
gotta get the
even?
validation, fucking Molly.
He needs
He's got
attention.
to.
Yeah.
He constantly needs to be validated. I mean, here's the problem with things like this. This is something I've talked about with friends before, but like, it's not the exact same situation, but it's kind of it's analogous to it though. It's like you see the sort of thing like when you this is actually very much a Cliffy B situation. You have this nerdy fucking dude, just totally socially awkward fucking dork, and he makes something and it explodes, and in an instant, he's got money, and that people are looking to him for answers and fucking like, oh yeah, you're the greatest, you're the greatest, you're the greatest. And that's the same kind of thing that happened with fucking Yiannopoulos. He struck at the right moment, and he was saying the things that people wanted to hear, and it blew him up. And he went through the same kind of thing where you give these people that are socially awkward fucking nerds or whatever, you give them power and you give them money and you give them a position of stature, and it goes to their fucking head and they lose their shit. And excuse me. And I mean, that's essentially what happened with Yiannopoulos, except you're introducing another aspect of a personality that's an addictive personality. and that has traumatic experiences, you know, in the past, you know, whatever they are. I don't want to delve into that, but then that's you're throwing fucking gasoline and a lighter, a lit match into a fucking powder keg, and it did what it was gonna do. It blew the fuck up, you know, and shockingly, it fucking burned out, you know, very quickly. So.
But of course, the book was upsetting in the fact that, as I said, Gamergate only got a handful of mentions at best.
Yeah, I'm not shocked though.
Yeah, it's a case of, you know what, this movement made you, and this is the mentions we get in the book alone, which does make me wonder what else was cut out of it.
The thing to remember is, when someone is forced to sell coffee to make money, what they put in their book isn't particularly important.
Yeah.
So. Sorry, I realise that was a tad serious, and we're not used to that. Boobies, there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why Scott's so quiet. He's discovered Lauren Southern's older sister. So.
I may have the Instagram, yeah. So
I'm not really concerned too much, except for anything but the backside. I'm kind of mesmerized right now. So skinny could be so fat.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming along. No, you didn't. I'd like to thank you all for coming along to the stream. This is a great way to end it on YouTube because we won't be doing any more on this side now. So yeah, my thanks to the guests who showed up for this long stream. I appreciate your patience and your time. And for those watching, thanks very much for coming along. This has been a lot of fun. So take care. We'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Woo! Woo!
Bye.
Sweet. Thanks for having us.